Anakin is looking for clothing in his room. The place is too stacked tightly. It resembles a solitary cell rather than a livable bedroom. The lasting impression Kagan senses is care. Anakin had taken a small room and poured time and love into it. The furniture looks clean and scrubbed. Despite being used as a storage and workroom, the place looks sturdy and well kept.
Mom? Where did you put our new protective suits?
Over there. Take them all you want.
Kagan moves over to join her. Together they stand watching Anakin.
You should be proud of your son. He gives without any thought of reward.
A smile flits over Shmi's worn face.
He knows nothing of greed. Only of dreams. He has
special powers.
Shmi's eyes fix on him, and he does not miss the glimmer of hope that shines there.
Yes.
The Force is strong with him, that much is clear.
He deserves better than a slave's life. Can you help him?
Kagan is silent for a time, thinking. He feels an attachment to Anakin he cannot explain.
I don't know. I didn't come here to free slaves. I'm not sure what I can do for him. Had he been born on Coruscant, we would have identified him early.
And he would have become a Jedi.
Kagan nods in resignation, lamenting the gap between the core worlds and the outer rim. Anakin shoves aside the clothing in the wardrobe to find the sandstorm-proof clothing, not meant to withstand prolonged time in a storm on Tatooine, but created for the short-term traversal. Anakin examines the clothes for a moment and grimaces. He takes all those suits and puts them on the workbench, lit with a candle. He attaches another protective gear piece to the cloth and begins sewing them with the machine on the bench.
Annie.
You bought rubbish. These won't withstand 5 minutes in a sandstorm.
As Anakin is working on modifying the clothing, Kagan approaches him and studies a deep cut in Anakin's left arm. He prepares to clean the injury with a piece of cloth.
Stand still.
Shmi yawns and heads out of the room.
They better not be ruined when I see them tomorrow.
Have you seen me ruining anything? Ouch!
Something pricked Anakin's arm. Kagan wipes a patch of blood and applies some antiseptic to the sour spot.
There, good as new.
Anakin realizes he is taking a blood sample.
Did you just draw my blood?
Checking your blood for infections. Go on.
Anakin's eyes fix on Kagan as he leaves the room. He suspects there is another reason, but he knows that whatever it is, he isn't going to tell him. He turns back to pretend sewing the suit. As Kagan returns to the main room, he looks into the bedroom to see Shmi lying on her bed. Wald, Owen, and Beru are already in a deep sleep on the ground in the blanket. In the main room where they had a meal, Padme is sleeping on the chair, with her head and arms on the table. She looks like a sleep-deprived student, too young to carry the burden. Obi-Wan still leans against the wall on the window side, looking out. The sandstorm is still powerful. Kagan comes over to Obi-Wan and pulls out a portable testing device from the satchel. Anakin's head peeks out from the storage room's doorway. He can see Kagan scraping a sample of Anakin's blood onto the device's small chip. He inserts the blood-smeared chip into the device. The device begins rumbling. The sound is too low for Anakin to hear clearly at first. He focuses his ears to listen to what they are saying.
It'll take some moments to complete a midi-chlorian test on the sample.
Master, you sure about it?
You saw him, too. If he doesn't have potential, no one has.
Not the boy. I'm talking about the bet.
Though he has the same amount of skepticism toward Anakin.
His master won't accept Republic credits.
Have you tried mind tricks?
He is a Toydarian.
Oh?
Obi-Wan shows his reaction.
To be fair, Toydarians don't let distractions drag along with them, unlike us.
His master is too eager to involve himself when it is not necessary. He is too quick to adopt causes that are not his own. It has cost him time and time again with the Jedi Council. One day it would be his undoing. Kagan assures his apprentice, keeping his voice low.
This is not a distraction.
It's not our mission either.
It is part of our mission now.
Obi-Wan sighs, feeling like he has become the youngling. He wishes he had his patience.
What about the cloaked man?
Kagan glances at the window. Even now, it is as if he can still feel it.
The suffocating force I felt from that man. It was an unbreathable presence of the dark side I have never touched before in my life.
Quietly, Anakin comes out of the storage room. His voice draws attention.
The Hutt clan is definitely on the dark side. They are proof that no matter how bad it is to be a slave, it could be worse. Jabba could be your master.
A side of the Force is not as simple as what's good and what's bad.
What differentiates them?
The light side seeks to keep the natural state of the Force as it is. In a way, you could say the light side is synonymous with the Force itself. It works in tandem with it in harmony.
Kagan smiles.
You learned well, Obi-Wan.
And the dark side?
The dark side seeks to dictate the Force and corrupt it for personal gain.
Don't the Jedi use the Force like a tool as well?
Only when necessary to do so. To protect the balance by preventing the dark side from becoming dominant. That is the Jedi's way.
Then who follows the dark side?
Obi-Wan is reluctant to explain as it is a taboo subject. Obi-Wan looks over to Kagan. Kagan tells grudgingly, beginning a tale.
A long time ago, so long ago that words cannot describe the time, one rogue Jedi had a different belief about the Force. The belief that the nature of the Force lay not in the light, but in the dark. Swearing to bring down those who had dismissed him, he founded the way of the Sith, driven by emotions such as fear, anger, and hate. He was alone at first, but others who believed as he came over. The Sith began building their cult in opposition to the Jedi. Theirs was not an order created to serve, theirs was an order created to dominate.
So what happened then?
Their long wars with the Jedi and the Republic were vengeful and ultimately doomed. Sith disciples conspired against each other so that the wars they started were as much with each other as with the Jedi.
An ancient civil war had pitted those Jedi who used the Force selflessly against those who allowed themselves to be ruled by their ambitions, which the Jedi warned led to the dark side of the Force. Defeated in that long-ago war, the Darksiders fled beyond the galactic frontier, where they built a civilization of their own, the Sith Empire. For the next 4,000 years, skirmishes between the Republic and Sith grew into wars, with the scales always tilting toward one or the other, and peace never lasting. The galaxy was a place of almost constant strife, Sith armies against Republic armies, Force-using Sith Lords against Jedi Masters and Jedi Knights, and the dreaded nomadic mercenaries called Mandalorians bringing muscle and firepower wherever they stood to gain. Then, 1,000 years ago, the Jedi defeated the Sith army at the Battle of Ruzan, decimating the so-called Brotherhood of Darkness that was the heart of the Sith Empire, and most of its power. The Sith remnants survived for a few more centuries to fight the Republic, but it was the fatal blow they could never recover.
In the end, the Sith destroyed themselves. They destroyed their leader first, then each other. What few survived the last bloodbath were dispatched by watchful Jedi.
All of them died. All but one. Now and then someone would report seeing a Sith Lord, but none of the rumors had ever been proven.
Until now.
If they are being stalked by a Sith Lord, not only them, but the entire Republic is in danger.
It's too early to confirm. Not every Dark Force user is a Sith. He could well be a Dark Jedi.
Hearing Obi-Wan's words, the implication sinks into Qui-Gon's mind. What do the Separatists have to do with the Dark Warrior? That is the part he still doesn't understand.
Anakin, tomorrow, we will visit your master. Good night.
I need to finish working on those clothes first.
Anakin stumbles back to the storage room. Obi-Wan looks at Kagan.
Didn't you say the bounty hunters saw the boy's face? If we were to join the race, we would be exposing ourselves in the open.
That's exactly the point. No one would dare to kill the players in front of Jabba the Hutt, especially in the midst of the largest pod race in the galaxy. As long as Anakin is in the game, they can't touch any of us.
Trusting our fate to a boy we hardly know.
While they discuss, the midichlorian test device beeps. Obi-Wan reads the result and flinches.
Master, there must be something wrong with the device.
What do the readings say?
The reading's off the chart. Over 20,000.
Qui-Gon's eyes widen. He takes a slow, deep breath and exhales. He presses the button on the device.
Here's a recheck.
The device beeps. Qui-Gon's voice tightens.
Strange. The system's working fine.
What? What does it mean?
They stare at the device, staggered by the immensity of the discovery. Kagan and Obi-Wan walk to the storage room to gaze at Anakin. He is sleeping at the workbench in the same posture as Padme.
That's it, then. It's his way.
He says it as if coming to a conclusion that had eluded him until now, as if discovering a truth that, while painful, is obvious. With a midichlorian measurement like that, he needs training, no matter how old he is, but the boy is a slave. How can they get him safely off Tatooine?
We can't just buy him. We don't even have enough money to buy hyperdrive parts.
If Anakin can't leave Tatooine, he has no idea how to free Anakin, though he has spent a considerable amount of time thinking about it. He believes an opportunity will arise. Footnote. While I have been critical of the movie explaining too many things, there are moments in this movie where the movie does a poor job of educating the audience about the significant information in the plot. For example, the first and only explanation about the Sith we get in the movie happens at the 1 hour and 24-minute mark, and the answer they give is that Sith is the attacker and they have been extinct for a long time.
My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
That is it. What the hell is the Sith? Considering the Sith has not been mentioned in the original trilogy, not even once, it only leaves the audience confused as most of them have not read the EU novels or played the games. Imagine if A New Hope not had the scene of Obi-Wan explaining what the Force and the Jedi are. For the backstory of the Sith, REDONE borrows Qui-Gon's monologue from the Phantom Menace novelization by Terry Brooks. This is a little touch. Qui-Gon extracted a blood sample when Anakin sustained an injury in his arm, yet how Anakin sustained this cut is not in the movie. He got the cut somehow beforehand, I guess. REDONE adds a moment when Anakin gets wounded during the chase to give context to this moment. Obi-Wan should have accompanied Qui-Gon to Tatooine, not Jar Jar Binks. In the film, Anakin meets Obi-Wan for the first time after the pod race, well past the midpoint of the movie. Even with that, there is no real moment where Anakin and Obi-Wan interact with each other in a meaningful manner, which is why Attack of the Clones had to heavy lift to lay the ground for their relationship.
I haven't felt you this tense since we fell into that nest of gun dogs.
You fell into that nightmare, Master, and I rescued you, remember?
Oh, yes.
This is why people tend to not jive Qui-Gon's role in the story, because he effectively steals the spotlight from Obi-Wan, who is stuck in the ship doing nothing in the entire Tatooine segment. The concepts are there, with Obi-Wan starting from a disbeliever of Anakin to a believer, but it means nothing if it isn't shown. Throughout nearly an hour on Tatooine, there are only few brief scenes of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan talking with each other through the comlink communication, where Obi-Wan doesn't get to know who Anakin is and what he is capable of. In REDONE, Obi-Wan follows along and actually sees Anakin, talking with Qui-Gon about what they see on him. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme all express their different outlooks, philosophy, and characters. This emulates A New Hope's character dynamics, in which the story feels more like an ensemble movie of the different characters, rather than Qui-Gon being the sole decision-maker in the story. The door of the hovel opens. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, and Qui-Gon with long scarves and goggles stand at the entrance of the hovel and stare across the town. They are wearing the protective suits Anakin modified last night. The wind whips at their cloaks, but Qui-Gon hardly feels it. The Force shakes with the same elusive wrongness that had been disturbing him since the start of the mission, closer now, but no easier to sense. They need to get off this planet soon.
I know the safe way into the shop. You've talked to Watto before, so you know he's a grumpy old guy. He won't be easily persuaded.
That concern is for the later.
The bounty hunters are still looking for us.
They seem to attract bad luck, Anakin ponders. Shmi and Anakin's friends stand behind Anakin as the wind gathers force, whipping at their clothes. Shmi still wishes Anakin to stay without having to risk his life.
Annie! I don't wish you to.
Remember what you said? You said the biggest problem in the universe is that nobody helps each other.
Anakin does not give up that easily. He continues insisting, knowing he is right about this.
Anakin, don't.
But you said it, Mom.
Anakin refuses to back down, his eyes lock on hers. Just using thoughts, he tells her how important this is to him and the Jedi. Somehow deep inside he knows he has to do this. Shmi makes no response this time, her brow furrows, her body still. Understanding him, she approaches him, close enough to give him a kiss on his cheek. She checks, tightens the suit, and puts his goggles over his eyes.
Please, be safe.
You gotta be fast. Standing outside more than an hour will tear your skin to the bone.
I can already feel that.
Even as she says, the force of the wind picks up, driving the sand against their clothes. Beru shouts at them to make her voice loud and clear.
May the force be with you.
Bye-bye, Annie.
Wald and Beru are waving their hands. Kagan nods in appreciation. The door slides shut. With the wind howling all about them and the air clouded with sand, Anakin shouts at his companions.
I'll guide you. Hurry!
They head off, facing the rising wind. Padme finds two slaves trudging through the sandstorm, a mother and her child. They wear the same slave necklaces Anakin wears. She lifts her child as they crawl into the storm. Too weak, they can barely walk on their own. The child is dying in her arms. The mother cradles his boy as they collapse in the storm. Obi-Wan's troubled eyes look off into the distance where the slave quarter is beginning to disappear behind a curtain of sand. Obi-Wan turns away from the stinging gusts. In a blinding, choking whirlwind that tears at clothes and exposes skin with relentless force, the sandstorm rages through the streets of Mos Espa. The place is a jumbled collection of hovels stacked one on top of the other so that they resembled anthills, each complex linked by common walls and switchback stairways, the plaza fronting them almost empty as the sandstorm chased everyone under cover. Padme has drawn her hood around her and covered her mouth. She is choking on dust and sand. She closes her eyes to near slits. She had never felt such driving wind before. The storm blots out the two suns and turns the air into a stinging force. The market is closed. The light turns an odd yellowish gray, obscured by sand and grit, and the buildings of the city disappear in a deep, impenetrable haze.
Hide!
They hide behind a wall, avoiding the eyes of the pursuers. There are 10 armored bounty hunters walking on the marketplace. Their protective gears are heavy, resembling wetsuits.
Now what?
Anakin looks around, and one of the shops catches his sight.
To that repair shop.
Like the last time, Kagan breaks the lock with his lightsaber to open the door to the shop, unaware that one of the bounty hunters afar witnesses the glowing lightsaber for a second. They break into a speeder repair shop, where local mechanics keep all manner of transports running, whether they belong to merchants, slavers, or less than reputable smugglers. The Jedi and Padme didn't know how fierce the sandstorms could be on Tatooine, but now they do. They cough and spit out the sand. Obi-Wan lowers the garage door and closes it completely, blocking the storm. The lock is melting into liquid metal.
It seems like you're getting good at that, Master.
Just a trick I picked up.
Padme finds her throat so dry that for a moment she cannot speak.
Water, water.
Anakin takes the bottle he carries and splashes the fresh water on her face. Padme drinks, devours water as if she has been stranded in a desert, then spits the sand out of her mouth. She coughs several times and breathes at last. She leans on the counter.
I don't like sand.
She coughs off and spit out.
It's coarse and rough and irritating. Gets everywhere.
She then gives it to Kagan, who wipes off sand from his clothes.
I guess it comes from living on a desert planet more than a minute.
How do you even live in this world?
By getting used to it.
The garage of the repair shop is cluttered with parts, hoses, and speeder engines in various states of repair. Padme winces upon smelling a foul smell coming from the biggest speeder in the garage. It is the same speeder wagon she encountered in the market that carried the slaves. She blocks her nose.
Well, that one looks familiar.
What? Seen this before?
The slave wagon. Can't forget the smell.
What a perfect vehicle for his plan, Anakin muses. He rolls beneath the vehicle, rips open a panel, and quickly sets about rewriting.
What are you doing?
Let's just say I found this speeder somewhere or other.
Obi-Wan gives him a shameful look at Anakin's illicit action.
How do you know how to do shifty stuff like that?
Why do you even care? Is this any more criminal than slavery?
They then hear a hostile shout coming from outside. The bounty hunters begin approaching the repair shop. Kagan and Obi-Wan ignite their lightsabers. Padme raises her blaster. Anakin fastens his shifty stuff.
Come on.
The shadows of the bounty hunters darken the garage further, casting long shadows inside. They will burst into the shop. The three gather around Anakin to defend him.
Anakin.
Anakin cuts two wires and connects them, and there is a large room sound. The engines spring to life.
We gotta go!
He hops into the speeder. Kagan gapes at Anakin, and the others share his astonishment. The boy has somehow overridden the ident locks in the space of mere moments. Anakin takes the piloting seat, while the Jedi and Padme climb in the back, where the slaves are meant to be loaded. Anakin guns the engine. As the bounty hunters are about to enter the repair shop, the slave wagon bursts out of the garage door. The speeder slams into 4 bounty hunters, flinging their bodies out of its way. The bounty hunters begin firing and chasing the vehicle, but their heavy protective armor slow them down. On the back of the speeder, Kagan and Obi-Wan deflect the blaster bolts back to the bounty hunters, while Padme shoots back at them. Anakin slams the speeder forward, hits the accelerator and roars across the empty marketplace and disappears down into the sandstorm. He can't see the street behind them, or what is ahead.
Everything is a blur. Do you know where you're going?
I know this town inside and out.
All of a sudden, something sharp swings into the piloting seat, and Anakin dodges just in time before it hits his head. It is a metallic hook hand of the Trandoshan, who has climbed on the roof of the speeder wagon. His stare is vengeful. Anakin screams, prompting Kagan to look out to the front of the speeder, but because the cargo box mounted on the rear is much bigger than the front, the bounty hunter is out of his sight.
What's happening in the front?
Kagan then climbs up to the roof from the back of the speeder and edges up toward the front. The buildings fly by around him, and without the goggles, his eyes would have turned blind by a sea of wind-rippled sand. From the top, he sees the Trandoshan bounty hunter is hanging on the side and fighting to get into the speeder's cockpit. As Anakin grapples with the Trandoshan, Anakin dodges another slashing attack, and in the process, he swings the handle to the side. The speeder banks right, just in time to move down a narrow street. The right side skids across the wall. Sparks soar from friction, and Kagan nearly falls off, but clings onto the roof again. Padme trips and falls off from the back of the speeding wagon, but Obi-Wan grabs her arm, just like on Alderaan. The truck speeder smashes through the bazaars, stalls, and stands. Fruit carts, baskets, and barrels go flying. Had not for the sandstorm, there would have been dozens of casualties. Kagan uses the Force to pull a protective covering shielding the fruits toward the Trandoshan. The covering flies and wraps into him, and he nearly falls off from the speeder, but he still hangs on. Blinded, the Trandoshan tries to slash the covering with his left hook hand. Seizing this chance, Anakin grabs his right hook hand, which is still clung onto the door. He then pulls it to cling it to the booster lever. The wagon begins doubling its speed and shoots toward a building.
Now, jump!
Seizing this chance, Anakin opens the door and leaps out. Kagan lets go of the roof, and Obi-Wan embraces Padme and jumps with her to the ground from the back of the truck. The Trandoshan slashes the covering open and finds his right hook hand stuck on the pilotless truck speeder, now accelerating. He looks forward to see the slave trade office building straight ahead, zooming toward him. The bounty hunter screams as the vehicle crashes into the entrance, revealing Graxel Kelvian, the same slave trader, whom Padme talked with yesterday, sat at the counter. Several other slavers and customers scatter as the truck speeder smashes into the foyer, blasting through the counter, crushing slave dealer Kelvian in the wreckage. The entire office then explodes in a great fireball. The explosion reverberates through the area. The slave trade office building turns into nothing more than hundreds of pieces of debris of all kinds showering the street. Meanwhile, the Jedi and the Alderaanian follow Anakin a short distance down the alley in a hurry. Anakin has a way into Mos Espa that avoids both the storm and the hunters. They open a small ventilation grate on the ground and jump in. The group now walks through the large sewer pipe, splashing the filthy water, using the lightsabers to brighten the surroundings. Padme stops and leans on the wall, breathing. She has not slept enough, and the grains of sand stuck to her sweating body are almost unbearable, but Anakin is still energetic. Anakin is thinking of Padme and the Jedi, of having the chance to give a tour of the shop, of being able to show them his pod racer. It sends a flush through him that is both warm and scary. It makes him feel good about himself. It is almost too much to hope for, that a real Jedi might be going to his home, to visit him. But Anakin's instincts tell him he is not mistaken, and that something mysterious and exciting has brought this little group to him. Obi-Wan and Kagan also take a rest for a moment like her. Obi-Wan rubs his eyes. He blinks and then looks again at Anakin.
Don't you feel tired?
I'm tired every day.
Is there anyone else to help your work?
I have a colleague. Well, hardly a colleague when it's a droid I made.
You made a droid?
All manner of strange and frightening voyagers pass through Tatooine. This includes some pretty weird old droids. That unit was ancient. It was covered with rusty armor plating and even had a fuse box. Anakin is eager to explain it.
It's an astro droid. I found him gutted and discarded in garbage dumps, so I rebuilt him with extra scraps. Primitive, but with some adjustments, he behaves like any other living being.
As they move again, they encounter the rusted ladder to the hole in the ceiling.
If we climb this ladder, we'll find a tunnel I made a few years ago. My master's not found out about it, and I'd like it to stay that way.
That's okay. I'm very good at keeping secrets. Not sure about my master though.
Kagan and Obi-Wan climb the ladder first, and Padme then takes her turn.
Gracious, my bones are aching.
We're almost there,
She notices he is staring at her, and he cannot help himself. He feels himself melting in confusion and wonder. He takes a deep breath.
I guess I don't know your name.
Padme turns away to focus on climbing. Anakin is the last one to climb the ladder.
You don't need to know a name to know someone.
That's why I find your presence intriguing.
There is a moment of silence, and she begins laughing, a sweet musical sound he doesn't mind at all. When people refer to her as such, she is usually dressed as Queen Antilles, and she can't take a compliment seriously if she's disguised as a queen. Everyone flatters her. Everyone wants something. Only a fool would listen.
Maybe I just like the peace and quiet.
Or maybe you are the reason why the Jedi are here.
Padme is flabbergasted. The amused smile returns. She reaches up to touch her hair self-consciously, but she does not divert her gaze.
You are an odd one. How do you know so much?
His stare is unnerving, more like a man's than a boy's.
If you aren't a Jedi or a crew, why would you be coming with us? Or is it the other way around? You even sounded like you're above the Jedi.
Kagan is observing him from above. He's bright. Something lurks in Padme's eyes that Anakin doesn't understand. There's also a slight happiness. Moments later, after crawling through the dug-up passageway, Anakin squeezes all his strength to push the floor upward. They come out of the open floor of the storage shed beneath the heavy junks.
Be careful not to hit your head.
When they crawl out of the pile, they clean the dirt off their wet clothing.
It's like an escape route carved up by a prisoner.
Welcome to reality. To be caught up to speed, would you like a seat by a slave? We have been ringing the alarm for centuries.
Anakin jokingly gestures him to sit next to him. As a slave, Anakin is not permitted to travel without permission.
If the Senate lets this continue, it is no longer something to be kept. We have let it die.
The Senate is not dying, but it continues to run on autopilot. The approval rating has been mired at a single digit for years, but the senators treat it as situation normal. If the 99% refused to vote, they'd fight over the remaining 1% and call that a victory.
Obi-Wan gives a meek defense.
In spite of that, the Republic is a well-oiled machine. It can continue on its own, all things considered.
It's been doing that. It can't do it indefinitely.
As Anakin hides the tunnel by placing back the floor piece, Padme peeks through the door gap.
Let's move.
Obi-Wan, guard this route. The enemies could pursue us here.
Then I'll stay here until you reach me, Master.
Kagan opens the door. Outside, the wind howls past the doors and windows, enough to shave a fresh layer of skin from the exterior of the walls.
We need to run! Get ready!
They cover their faces with the scarves and put the goggles on their eyes again, then look outside. Everything is a hazy wall of orange. Dust flies into her eye just before Padme takes the goggles, making it sting.
I got sand in my eye.
Take my hand.
Anakin takes Padme's hand in a frenzy of ill-concealed excitement.
3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Anakin slams the door open and leads his charges through the storm. Anakin holds her hand with a firm grip, leading her through the howling storm towards safety. And as he does, he has the strange sensation that he has met one thread of his force. He is thinking, finally, of his dreams and his hopes for himself, thinking that maybe something wonderful would come out of this unexpected encounter, something that would change his life forever. The wind howls past, a river of sand and grit. Anakin, Qui-Gon, and Padme run, leaving Obi-Wan in the storage shed. He leads them to a small open area surrounded by piles of worn-looking equipment and irregular, sand-colored shops. Even as Anakin fights his way through the winds, Anakin's thoughts are directed elsewhere. The group rushes toward Watto's large but dingy junk shop. A mud and sand hut fronts an enclosure packed with rocket and engine parts salvaged from scrapped and junked wrecks. A bell automatically rings. They race past a stack of spaceship parts towering in front of the shop and duck through the gritty gloom to the front door and push their way inside. R2-D2 greets them and happy beeps.
Hey!
Anakin pats his droid.
Have you been missing me?
Anakin is anxious to show Padme his project.
This is my droid, R2-D2. Want to see up close?
The droid jerks several times in response. It wasn't empty bragging. Anakin has talents beyond his years. Padme bends over his shoulder, studying the droid carefully. He is anxious for her reaction.
He's cute.
She had met plenty of technicians, but she had never known anyone who put a droid together for fun. Watto enters from a work area off to one side.
You must be crazy. How did you come here? The shop is closed.
His sharp, bulbous eyes flick from one face to the other, ending with Anakin.
You! I was looking for you all this time.
Watto flies like a crazed probe, tiny wings buzzing fast like a bee. He takes the cane and flies into Anakin's face to beat him. Qui-Gon grabs Watto's cane in a flash. His grip is firm.
Don't do that again. He is the one who brought us here.
Watto advances on him another few centimeters, then stops once more. Qui-Gon holds himself erect in the same way that Anakin does. Watto regards him sourly for a moment more. Watto tries to pull his cane out. When he lets go of the cane slips off his hand and then drops to the floor. His arms cross defiantly over the rounded torso as the Toydarian regards Anakin with disdain.
For a moment, I suspected you'd run away from me.
Oh, and give you the pleasure of seeing my necklace detonate?
Pleasure? You think I like cleaning up exploded slaves?
When he is done laughing, he turns to a frowning Qui-Gon.
Why are you still here? Get out if you ain't buying.
I have a proposal to make.
Qui-Gon puts his hand on Anakin's shoulder.
We would like to sponsor him in the race tomorrow.
It takes a few moments for Watto to comprehend, but when he does, he breaks into raucous laughter. Watto's trunk-like nose wrinkles in evident amazement that anyone would take a risk for a slave like Anakin.
This boy!
Qui-Gon has made a decision based on desperate need, but also on how he feels about Anakin. With the potential in him, he is more than capable.
Why not? He still has his Bun Eve membership, isn't he?
Because the last time I let him race, he smashed up my pod.
That's a new information. Qui-Gon glances at a sullen Anakin.
It wasn't my fault, really. It's because Sebulba cheated. I actually saved the pod racer, mostly.
That you did. He's good, no doubt there, but it will take too long to fix that piece of junk tracks for the race.
Hey, the damage wasn't that bad. Only if you buy repair parts from the other shops. I can fix it today.
Okay.
Watto then turns to Qui-Gon.
You can't even afford your parts. How can you do this? Not on Republic credits.
Qui-Gon looks around, to make sure that there are no guests in the shop.
My ship will be the entry fee.
Doubt mirrors clearly in Padme's brown eyes.
Excuse me?
Qui-Gon disregards her puzzlement. He reaches and brings out a tiny holoprojector. Clicking on the power source, he projects a hologram of the Nubian royal starship into the air in front of Watto. That's when Anakin knows how serious their problems really are. Watto flits closer, studying it. There is a hint of curiosity that gleams in his eyes.
La luxury yacht. Good. Too good for farmers.
Watto grins and glares at Qui-Gon.
It's in good order, except for the parts we need. My only condition is for my ship to be.
La Shash.
Kagan nods. The Hutts and others must not learn about their ownership of this Nubian ship.
Hush hush.
He flicks off the holoprojector and tucks it back into his pocket.
I'm sure Anakin doesn't want himself to be put in danger.
Anakin bites his lip.
No, no. I love it. I can help you.
We will find another way.
Kagan looks over at her and shakes his head slowly.
I sense there is no other way.
He pauses.
Maybe Anakin was meant to help you.
It is a strange thing to say. For a moment, Kagan and Padme lock eyes. Some kind of silent communication passes between them. As though he is giving him to her. How odd.
So, you supply the entry fee, I supply the boy and the pod. We split the winnings 50-50, I think.
The junk dealer has cunning, but Kagan is counting on his greed.
50-50? If it's going to be 50-50, I suggest you front the cash for the entry and the pod's repair. If we lose, you keep my ship.
Padme's blood boils.
If you win...
If we win, you keep all the winnings, minus the cost of the parts I need. And your slaves get their freedom.
Anakin's eyes go wide. He feels himself melting in confusion and wonder. Anakin turns away from Watto and looks at Kagan, wondering if he'd heard right.
What?
It means you and your mother will no longer be slaves.
Kagan looks at Watto.
Either way, you win.
Anakin stares at him in disbelief, his worn face rigid, his eyes mirroring his shock. Anakin watches Kagan appreciatively. He suspects he really is dreaming. Watto seems confused by this. He works his mouth and trunk-like nose in a rooting manner, but no words would come out. So Watto snaps, bursting into a new round of laughter. He turns to Anakin.
Yobana Piota, Midia.
Is that a yes?
Anakin claps his hands in glee.
That is a yes!
Dial. Your ship is mine soon. Better stop your friend betting, or I'll end up owning him, too.
He keeps laughing as he leaves the room. Still slightly stunned by this unexpected news, Anakin stares at Kagan. Padme wrinkles her smooth brow. She doesn't know what the Jedi Master is thinking.
Your ship? Since when was that ship your ship?
We're stranded on Tatooine, not Alderaan.
The Queen would not approve.
Kagan meets her gaze squarely.
The Queen is not here.
Padme's eyes blaze.
Well, I don't approve.
Footnote. In the film, Anakin only learns his freedom was part of Qui-Gon's bet after winning the race.
He has been freed.
What?
You're no longer a slave.
You mean I get to come with you in your starship?
In Redone, Anakin knows his emancipation depends on this bet before the race. This may be a small change, but recontextualizes Anakin's actions. If Anakin knows his fate is on the stakes, then there is greater joy in the victory.
Base in range.
You may fire when ready.
If there's no threat to the rebels, then there's no joy in the victory. Essentially, they just went and killed a bunch of people. Which they did, but now it's a fight for their own survival.
It makes the race more dramatic and determined. One of the criticisms leveled against the Phantom Menace is that it is just a gigantic ripoff of A New Hope. While I disagree with this and believe the Phantom Menace did a good job rhyming the original trilogy without straight-up copying it, I must admit the inclusion of C-3PO was the only part that felt overtly fanservice in the Phantom Menace. By now, you may notice Redone does not feature C-3PO. The story does not need him. Not only does 9-year-old Anakin being the creator of 3PO stretch the suspension of disbelief, but you can also cut 3PO out of the Phantom Menace, and it makes no difference to the plot. 3PO should have been introduced at the end of Episode 3 as an Alderaanian droid meeting R2-D2 for the first time on Tantive 4. However, R2-D2 is a smaller and less sophisticated droid. The addition of detail that Anakin rebuilt R2-D2 from the abandoned droid instead of making it from scratch also helps this inclusion of the classic Star Wars character digestible. In addition, R2-D2, whose role mainly fixing things, would actually be helpful for Anakin as he works in Watto's workshop, and R2-D2 does something in the plot such as saving the Nubian ship and nestling into the starfighter during the climax. This fixes the problem of why Anakin built a protocol droid like C-3PO to help his mother when protocol droids would be useless to her. User Popularis Socialis pitched an idea to change the bomb in Anakin to a collar around his neck that cannot be removed without it exploding. This serves the same purpose, but it gives a more visual reminder of his class inferiority. Redone adds a speeder chase scene to make their return to Watto's shop more exciting. I wrote this in after noticing how the Tatooine sandstorm was never utilized to the fullest extent when it could have been a setting for a fun set piece in an adventure movie. Mos Espa has an Indiana Jonesian vibe, and I can't help but someone like Steven Spielberg would have had a field day with it had he the one to direct The Phantom Menace. By adding this scene, it heightens the threat of the bounty hunters and showing Anakin's craftiness. It is funny to watch the fans rationalize how Kagan couldn't have sold the Nubian ship to get money to buy a cheaper ship, saying it would have drawn eyes all over Tatooine, especially the Hutts, only for Kagan to casually lay the ship out as an entry fee for the biggest pod race in the galaxy, hosted by Jabba the Hutt. Clearly, drawing attention was no problem. Sometimes, you have to accept the only explanation is bad writing. Redone adds a small moment where Watto notices how Kagan cannot be a simple farmer who happens to own a Nubian luxury boat. Confident he would win, Watto accepts the deal and keeps his mouth shut from reporting it to the authorities. It is just a small adjustment to the dialogue, but it does so much to patch up the holes. In the lower level of the Mos Espa sewer system, on the steel bridge where Maul met the bounty hunters, the hologram of Darth Sidious stands on Maul's wrist controller that is linked to the ship's subspace radio. The noises of the sandstorms from above almost drown Sidious' voice, but Darth Maul knows better than to be distracted by them. Maul has been keeping his reports brief and accurate, the way Darth Sidious likes them.
Those incompetents have performed worse than our lowest expectations.
It's time. Reveal yourself to the Jedi, and then everything should be going as planned.
His expression is hidden by his hooded cloak, but his satisfaction is evident in his tone of voice. He tells himself to control his anxious desire. If his master senses it, he will rebuke him. He has been punished for his impatience in the past. He doesn't blame Lord Sidious for the punishments, they only made him stronger. Yet he does not want to invite them.
As you wish, my master. It's too late for them to stop us now.
It amuses him to predict the Jedi's surprise at the deadly skill of the Sith. They will know that they have returned, and they must suspect they are no match for the Sith. Fear will curdle inside them. Fear is an unfamiliar feeling to a Jedi. Now they must live with it. The hologram disappears, leaving Darth Maul with a thrill of anticipation. Maul is content there. He still has much to learn. Not in battle, but in larger strategies. Sidious sees weakness and exploits it. He senses anger and inflames it. His vision takes in a galaxy, with its multitude of planets and governments. The complexity doesn't intimidate him. He can hold it in his mind and know that someday, he will control it all. Maul turns when he hears footsteps from behind. The bounty hunters approach him from the tunnel, 10 beings from the species of Togorian, Trandoshan, Rodian, Human, Bith, and Twi'lek, all holding blasters, blades, and vibroaxe.
We were not able to capture the Jedi. We lost them.
Irritation courses through Maul at this interruption.
You don't get the rest of the payment then.
The bounty hunters are taken aback.
What did you say?
You go outside. Let the sandstorms change your mind.
Do you even know how many lives we lost last night?
Maul's yellow eyes glimmer with anger in the strange mosaic of his face. He feels his living force ebb, and the dark side surges in him, pulsing, filling him. He had underestimated the greed of the bounty hunters.
I care not for the lives worth no more than a fly.
Maul does not see beings as others do. Under normal circumstances, he barely registers other living creatures, unless they are threats or obstacles. When he goes into battle they cease to be living beings at all. They become targets. One of the bounty hunters laughs. He licks his lips with a thick purple tongue.
Did you be heard, Lord?
He wants to die.
Then he says in basic.
You're Pegasus. Hand them over.
This is a waste of my talent.
Maul sighs. He is not impressed. Why do his opponents announce their intentions with threats and taunts? Do they really think they can intimidate a Sith? Maul never speaks in a battle. It is a waste of energy. He prefers to concentrate on the joy of killing. The leader of the bounty hunter pulls out a vibroblade on him and walks toward Maul.
Give me those Pegasus, or...
Maul draws his lightsaber from beneath his robe. One swoosh and Maul neatly severs the bounty hunter leader's hand from his wrist. The bounty hunter boss vibroblade in the chopped hand clatters to the floor and then falls into the sewer water. The bounty hunter leader's eyes widen in surprise as he gazes down at the empty place where his hand once was. Then he feels the pain. The blinding light from Maul's ignited crimson lightsaber reveals the panicked, unprepared faces of the bounty hunters. The targets freeze for an instant. The red beam pierces through the bounty hunter boss' stomach and comes out from the back. Maul pushes the body toward the rest of the bounty hunters, who fire on Maul, but the body of the bounty hunter boss takes the shots as a meat shield. The dull-witted cretins don't use strategy, they just rush at him like barbarians. When Maul gets close to them, he throws the body away, and in a series of flashes Maul slaughters the nearby foes, using the narrow, limited space to his advantage. The lightsaber is a blur of light and motion. Maul's lightsaber is no longer a separate weapon, but part of his arm. He moves in the time it would take his opponent to blink. He moves in the time the opponent would take to raise his weapon. The enemy would only see the space where he had been. The enemy would feel the sudden shock of the blow that would knock him to the floor. At the crest of his arc, his lightsaber is high in the air. Maul twists slightly to attack the second bounty hunter from his right side. When the lightsaber comes down on his shoulder, it has all the force of Maul's body behind the blow. The hunter goes down with a surprised grunt, his arm and blaster clattering to the floor. He delivers another blow, piercing his chest, and he is still. He moves aside as the third bounty hunter wields his vibroaxe. He is fluid as water and slips through his opening like a breeze. He grunts in frustration at his inability to touch Maul. This hunter is bigger than the second, taller than Maul is. His fur gives off a rank, sour smell. Maul dismembers and disarms him. His last howl is ear-splitting. One bounty hunter staggers and roars at him in rage. Then he charges, all aggression without finesse, honking an odd battle cry. Maul is expecting this, of course. He waits for his momentum to make him clumsy as he begins his strike an instant too soon. It is easy for Maul to evade the blow. When the hunter totters, Maul whips around, his lightsaber twirling, and his lightsaber slices the neck. He slices another as the bounty hunter crashes to his knees, then falls over, dead. Not only Maul is fast, but he is calm and collected, every move deliberate. None of the wild, desperate flailing of his adversaries. One of them tries to hit Maul with a mace, but the lightsaber slices the primitive weapon into two and decapitates the criminal. The dark side alerts Maul that one target is taking aim at his back. He will try to crush Maul with a swipe from each hand, hoping to cut him in two. Maul leaps, again using the dark side to add velocity and distance. He sails high above his head and grabs onto the railing with one hand. He uses the momentum to swing past the target. Maul lets go, makes a midair reversal, and lands behind him. Maul has done this so fast that the target's two vibroaxes are now meeting where Maul's body once was. They tangle, emitting a screeching sound that sends smoke spiraling upward. The hunter roars in frustration. Maul's jump lands him behind him and slightly to the left. It is his favorite angle of attack, though of course he is invincible from any position. The hunter spins around to face Maul, already swinging his vibroaxes. They meet the handle of his lightsaber. Smoke rises, and Maul feels strength shudder up his arm into Maul's shoulder. He likes a good adversary. But Maul doesn't have time to play with this one. He flips backward and reverses direction, coming at the enemy from the right. Maul slashes his arm, rendering it useless. It dangles by his side, and the vibroaxe falls to the floor with a thud. Maul's blow has angered him. His eyes are filled with pain. Maul notes this with glee and attack, his lightsaber a blur of red. He dodges one blow, catches the next, and cries out. He moves in for the kill. Maul's blood pounds in his ears, and mingles with the blood he has spilled. His lightsaber hums with his killing blow, a vertical sweep through the chest. In seconds, the hunter is on the floor, dead eyes glazed with surprise. One climbs up the railing and dives into the water. Maul throws the lightsaber a boomerang, which returns to Maul's hand after severing his body. Maul moves without thought and kills without mercy, and he does it faster than those lumbering bounty hunters can take a breath. In a minute, the 10 bounty hunters are heaps of flesh and parts on the bridge or have fallen into the sewer water dead. Their expressions are frozen at the moment of their deaths. Maul sees surprise, horror, pain, rage. The targets have been eliminated, and he's not even breathing hard. But the 2 bounty hunters remain alive. One is their leader, who coughs and chokes on his blood. He doesn't get a chance to take a breath. He won't make it. The other will. This Bith, who spied on Watto's shop, is crouched in fear. Maul approaches them, his lightsaber glowing. Instead of coming at him, the Bith wheels around and runs. He's heading for the tunnel to escape.
Run, and you die. Stay, and you live.
The Bith turns, frozen, watching Maul. The bounty hunter leader waves a vibroblade, but it merely fans the air. Maul kicks it off his remaining hand. Maul awaits for him to beg so that the kill tastes better. The bounty hunter leader struggles, but barely voices his words.
What are you? A Jedi?
Maul holds his head. There is no expression in his mosaic face.
I'm Jedi's calamity.
And the red beam of the lightsaber goes down his throat. He had no time to regret an attack on a Sith. After ramming their greed down their throats, he gets up and steps out of the bridge to the tunnel floor. Toward the sole survivor. The Bith tries to run again, but Maul reaches out, and it sends the hunter flying. He hits the wall with a dull thud. Maul charges toward him and grabs his neck. Holding him above the floor, with his blade pointed at his face, over his mouth, Maul instructs him.
Tell the townspeople what you saw. Tell everyone that Sith have returned.
The Bith nods. Maul lets him go. The only survivor races into the tunnel without a cry, so he can expose the Sith's return. Maul then turns to face the bridge, on which the smoking bodies are scattered. Maul throws his saber, which flies spinning across the sewer and slicing the narrow steel bridge on the other side, and curves back to return toward Maul's hand to cut the bridge on his side. The bridge then collapses into the sewer water alongside the bodies. Maul deactivates the lightsaber and the darkness returns to the room, but his yellow eyes still gleam, looking at the torn bounty hunters flowing through the sewage into the dark. He lifts his arm to view the control panel strapped to his forearm, picks out the settings he wishes to engage, and punches in the calculations. We see 3 football-sized probe droids float out of Scimitar in the cave and head off in 3 different directions toward the city of Mos Espa until they vanish in the darkness. The probes have been downloaded with information on the Jedi. They will send back readings that will give Maul the coordinates of the Jedi's location. Footnote. Although Darth Maul is one of the bright spots of the Phantom Menace, there is barely any personality to his character. He got only 3 lines in the entire film. He did not have his own agency or did nothing unless Sidious instructed him to. Before you may argue Boba Fett was just like that, the difference was he wasn't the main villain. Vader was. Luke didn't have a climactic fight scene with Boba Fett on Cloud City. Redone gives more dialogues and moments to reveal his character traits like his interactions with bounty hunters. He is impatient, cruel, distasteful of those he considers to be low-life, and arrogant, which will set up his behaviors in the climax later down the story. It adds danger to him before his confrontation with the Jedi. In his garage, Anakin has been working on the rusty podracer Watto gave with R2-D2 to prep it for the race. Padme saves him some time finding the parts he needs. He asked for her help fixing the podracer. The engine is unlike any that she knew, but she could hold tools and pass them. They have worked all afternoon. Her hands are grimy, her right hand holding a tool. All Anakin has to do is tightening the wiring on the thruster relays to the left engine, then adding some armor. For all its power and speed, the podracer is an amazingly delicate machine. One nasty scrape against a rock formation or another racer, and it could disappear in a flaming bath of rocket fuel.
Have you been here long?
Since I was very little, 3, I think. I was sold to Gardella the Hutt, but she lost betting on the pod races to Watto. Watto's a lot better master, I think.
Anakin puts the last piece to the engine and steps back to Padme. His thoughts drift. He can't explain it exactly, but he knows that tomorrow will change his life. That strange ability to see what others do not, that sometimes gives him insights into what would happen, tells him so. His future is coming up on him in a rush, he senses. It is closing fast, giving him no time to consider, ascending with the certainty of a sunrise. What would it bring him? The question teases at the edges of his consciousness, refusing to show itself. Change, but in what form? Kagan and his companions are the bringers of that change, but he does not think even the Jedi Knight knows for certain what the end result will be. Maybe the freedom he had dreamed about for himself. Maybe an escape to a new life for him. Anything is possible if he wins the Bunta. Anything at all.
Isn't it great?
Padme is at a loss for words. It is clear the sheer scale and complexity of the podracer have taken her breath.
It's wonderful.
Padme goes to touch the engine.
Please touch gently until...
It snaps. Pieces of the engine collapse and break apart from it, tumbling to the ground.
Sorry.
Anakin grinds his teeth.
That's okay. If that broke it, it would have collapsed in the race.
As Anakin goes to pick up the fallen components, he hears sniffling. He sees Padme is tearing up.
Hey, I said it's okay.
There is an awkward silence as Padme looks away, not knowing what else to say. It's nothing to do with the podracer.
Farmers who cultivate water, sandstorms, and boys and girls who are slaves. This is all so different from Alderaan.
So you're from Alderaan?
Padme covers her mouth. The silence stretches. She doesn't seem to know what to say next. Anakin taps her shoulder to ease her.
Don't feel sorry for me. I don't like anyone feeling sorry for me. And from what I heard, Alderaan might turn into a place not so different from Tatooine.
His last sentence makes her imagine what could happen to Alderaan if the separatist occupation continues. Her people could be transported as indentured servants under the regime. It gets Padme worked up.
What do you know about Alderaan? About us?
I keep my ears open to all the traders and pilots who come through here.
It was a rhetorical question, not an actual inquiry into what Anakin actually knows about. Anakin didn't understand that.
Someday I'm going to fly away from home like you.
I didn't flee.
Maybe you didn't, but you were hiding.
Padme's gaze darts away. He is right. How awful that she has to run away, maybe fight one day. That's why she is on fire to get to Coruscant. She wants to stand up and say, this is wrong. Say it so clearly and strongly that the rest of the galaxy would rise up and cry it with her. Alderaan will be free again. Unwilling to chance another mistake, she stops talking. The wind gathers force, tearing across the broad expanse of the Tatooine desert. The sandstorm blows hard against the Nubian ship. Kagan is contacting Prince Bail Organa. The connection is less than perfect, but they are able to communicate sufficiently. He has filled Bail in on what is happening.
If all goes well, we will have our parts by this afternoon and be on our way.
Bail Organa's eyes narrow upon hearing Qui-Gon's plan.
What if this plan fails, Master Jedi? We could be stuck here for a long time.
Kagan has moved off alone into one corner to surreptitiously talk to him on the comlink.
It's too dangerous to call for help, and a ship without a hyperdrive won't get us anywhere.
Kagan switches off the comlink and tucks it away. Darkness cloaks Mos Espa in deepening layers as night descends. It should be a quiet, soft night that welcomes in its peace, yet the storm continues throughout the remainder of the night, engulfing Mos Espa, sand blown in from the desert piling up against the shuttered buildings, forming ramps against doorways and walls, clouding the air, and shutting out the light.
It's because of the boy, Master, isn't it?
Kagan turns to find Obi-Wan, coming up to him.
Because it's a perfect chance to prove Anakin. That's why you kept me out of the shop while you were making the deal.
Kagan sighs and strokes his face. His silence is telling. He knew Obi-Wan would interrupt the deal with Watto.
Master, the boy might possess of more living force than normal, but the Council would never accept him for Jedi training. 15 is far too old, and his slave background has begun to shape his emotions.
Age and background don't matter.
Kagan is silent for a moment, thinking. In the back of his mind, he senses he is meant to do something for this boy, that it is necessary he tries. But most Jedi are identified within the first 10 years of birth and given over to their training. It was true for him, for Obi-Wan, for everyone he knows or has heard about.
All that matters is that the boy is special.
They will not accept it. In all honesty, I'm not sure I accept it either.
Kagan looks out the window. Anakin had been right about the storm. It rages all that afternoon and evening. He wishes he had his perseverance. No doubt the Sith will eventually find them. There is no time.
Let go of your conscious self and act on instinct.
Master Yoda said instinct is useful only if born of the Force and not of impulse.
Qui-Gon's expressions change, filling with frustration and disappointment at the turn of events.
Impulse? Our meeting was not a coincidence, my young apprentice. Nothing happens by accident.
The Council might make an exception for someone so talented. He is more and more certain that he is at the crossroad toward a historical event. Kagan has always been a magnet for trouble. Does his confidence come from one of the rare glimpses of the future? Or does Kagan plan to train Anakin whether the Council approves or not? Obi-Wan frowns.
Don't defy the Jedi Code, Master. Not again.
Anakin will become a Jedi, I assure you.
It's another detour, Master. And your senses aren't that attuned.
Kagan has heard the faint extra emphasis on your senses. Maybe he would let this go on, after all.
And yours are?
Master, you could be sitting on the Council by now, if you would follow the code.
You could be knighted out of my apprenticeship by now, if you would take chances.
Obi-Wan closes his eyes in dismay. Kagan has made the decision to bring the kid along and join the race because Anakin is another project that he, with his persistent disregard for the dictates of the Council, has determined as value. He wonders what Master Yoda had been thinking all those years ago, when he brought Kagan and Obi-Wan together as Master and Padawan apprentice. Master Kagan Jinn has great skill, no question of that, but sometimes he is so intense. Master Yoda always sees farther than anyone else. Perhaps he had thought that an earnest young apprentice would be as good for Qui-Gon as Qui-Gon would be for the apprentice. It would be like Yoda to balance Qui-Gon's headstrong nature and Obi-Wan's by-the-book methods against Obi-Wan's steadiness and Qui-Gon's unconventional ways. He would have to ask Yoda about it, after he passes the trials and becomes a full Jedi Knight. That wouldn't come soon, Obi-Wan thinks, though he hadn't said anything about it to his master yet.
You assume too much.
And you still have much to learn, my young Padawan.
I must have heard that 1,000 times from you.
Obi-Wan puts his hand on his face. He is planning to defy the Council, Obi-Wan thinks with a sinking feeling. It is a preoccupation that both mystifies and frustrates Obi-Wan. Qui-Gon may be a strong and brave master who refuses to be intimidated by even the most daunting challenge. He repeatedly defies the Council in matters that are barely worthy of championing.
Live in the moment and do what you feel is right.
I feel it's right to cancel this pod race plan.
The junk dealer has already bought the tickets.
He takes the Bunta Eve Classic tickets out of his pocket.
I have one for you, too, and an uncancelable one at that.
He hands Obi-Wan's. Half stunned, Obi-Wan takes it.
Wait, Master.
Qui-Gon heads off, leaving Obi-Wan in the room. The storm's still howling, an eerie backdrop of sound against the silence within. Even though he said it confidently, he wonders if he did the right thing. Then he darts off. Qui-Gon cannot sleep. It is this boy. There is something about him. The Force is strong in Anakin, amazingly strong, the boy practically glows with it. For all his talent, Anakin is already much too old to be trained as a Jedi. Jedi teachers normally work with very young children. Yet it is clear to Qui-Gon that encountering Anakin is no accident. Best to move slowly, and let things become clearer. Qui-Gon walks into the Watto's garage. Padme is sleeping in a chair. She is tired from stooping and has fallen asleep with the blueprints scattered on the table. Anakin looks tired as well, nearly half sleeping, but still finishing the work with R2-D2. His thought is still foremost in his cluttered, weary mind when he hears Qui-Gon calling him.
I hope you're about finished.
It's not the greatest pod racer, but it should work just fine.
Qui-Gon studies the pod racer. The pod has activated the anti-grav lifts and is floating 2 feet in the air. The pod racer is shaped like a narrow half-cylinder with a rubber skid attached to its flat bottom, a cockpit carved into its curved top, and steering arms attached at its sides. It resembles a chariot, pulled by 2 souped-up sleek Raiden fighter engines with scoop air stabilizers tow the pod at the end of Steelton cables. On the other hand, Anakin's pod is tiny, just large enough to hold him and all the controls. His engines, by contrast, are huge, narrow gold machines twice the length of the pod racer, and at least as big around, even with the foils closed.
See this?
Anakin points to the side of the pod, which is fitted with the scrap metal.
We added some armor to protect the pod from Sebulba's attack. Not sure if it will work against his buzzsaw, but it's something.
We can only do the best we can with what we have.
He turns to R2-D2.
I think it's time we found out if this thing can run.
Anakin hits the ignition switch. The turbines roar. Red and pink energy binders flash between the engine casings, and orange flames burst from the afterburners. The first stage of engine fire can be heard. Anakin flashes a big grin at Qui-Gon. Then the turbines begin powering down. Nothing happens, and the engine goes off. Padme almost wakes up, but her eyes won't open. She unconsciously adjusts her posture and goes back to sleep. Anakin sighs and puts his head in his hands. He wipes sweat and tosses a wrench to the ground.
We'll never race tomorrow.
Anything I can help?
Anakin stares at Qui-Gon.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I've been wondering, what is midi-chlorian?
Qui-Gon is taken aback.
Did you overhear us last night?
Of course I did.
Qui-Gon pauses for a bit.
Midi-chlorians are a microscopic life form that measures the living force inside each of us.
The force flows through me?
In all living beings. Anyone can cultivate it with enough time. We all are symbionts with the cosmic force.
Symbionts?
Without the living force, life could not exist, and we would have no knowledge of the force. You happen to be more innate than most.
There is a long pause, long enough for Qui-Gon to realize he has talked about the subject he is not prepared to answer. He gives him time and space to deal with the matter, not pressing him, not making it seem as if it is necessary he answer it all.
I've known I'm special. I don't know how to explain it, but I can see things, sense events before they happen.
That's a Jedi trait. It's the Force continually speaking to you.
Anakin shrugs.
I ain't hearing it now. I can't even do the Force.
He gestures with his hand.
The Force won't come up.
Kagan takes his hand, like a father he never had.
The Force is not a hand-waving. You already use it without knowing it. The Force is something inside you, just a feeling, an instinct, a string of guesses that lead you to things others would not dare imagine.
When do I know how to use it? Consciously?
Time will come when you can feel everything around you as though the whole universe is playing inside your head.
The Jedi Master puts his hand on the pod.
This vehicle will become your body. The pulse of its engines will become the beat of your own heart.
Anakin nods. His own fear has uncoiled and faded away now, all but a hard little core. But that fear had been with him since the day he was old enough to understand what being a slave meant. He is used to it and used to hide it. Anakin closes his eyes and reaches his hand toward the engines, almost as if feeling inside, as if his mind is diagnosing his pod racer.
Feeling something?
And indeed, he is feeling something. An instinct. A sense. Like a doctor finding a tumor. Anakin takes the wrench he threw a moment ago and crouches. He is trying to loosen something from the engine.
Definitely.
That's what the Force does. It binds everything together.
As Anakin uses the wrench and struggles to solve the problem in the engine, he asks him.
You told me about the dark side of the Force. What if this dark side consumes me? What if I can't restrain myself?
Kagan gives him an understanding smile, and for a moment Anakin wonders whether he has fears that have to be crushed sometimes.
That is why you should be a Jedi. Jedi are followers of the Force. We use the Force for defense and knowledge rather than use it to gain power over others.
Finishing the patch-up, Anakin puts the wrench down and jumps into the little capsule behind the two giant engines.
Okay, R2. Let's try again.
He puts the power pack back into the dashboard. Anakin waves at Kagan.
Move back.
Kagan complies. He holds his breath and hits the ignition switch. Flame explodes from the afterburners, and a huge roar rises from the radon ulcers, building steadily in pitch until Anakin eases off on the thrusters, then settles back into a throaty rumble. Padme wakes up at last.
Is it working?
It's working! It's working!
He feels the vibrations from those powerful turbines. Anakin has never felt so happy. Anakin's pod racer does work, well, he'd always known it would, but it is different, actually having the engines ignite for real. He will enter in the Bunta race, and there will be someone other than Watto to cheer him. He would win this time, he knows it. He has to win. For himself and his mother. And he has a real Jedi staying with him, even if it is only for a night or two. Watto flies into the cargo upon hearing the engine noise.
Hey, if you're Redone, get to your shit for tomorrow.
Watto wheels on Anakin, spinning violently, wings whirring, and flies to confront him. Kagan moves toward him. His calm, steady gaze brings Watto up short, pinning him in the air midway between him and Anakin.
No, he's a Bunda Eve pod racer for now, and you will treat him like one. He needs a better place to sleep.
It's all right. The shed is comfortable for me.
Watto snorts and leaves. Padme looks at Anakin making some adjustments to the controls, with a worried and sympathetic gaze. She speaks to Kagan quietly.
He looks so young, and we are risking everything on him. If Anakin doesn't win, what will become of Alderaan?
You need to have faith.
Padme isn't ready to forgive him.
I only have faith in the things I can see.
Perhaps that is your mistake.
Footnote. The problem with Kagan wagering for the pod race in the movie is that he went for it before learning Anakin is the chosen one. He did not even risk everything after testing Anakin's midichlorians count. The deal occurs before the test, with barely any minuscule objection from Obi-Wan, who has never even met Anakin at this point. In Redone, Kagan bets on it after the test, and Obi-Wan's objection to the decision is stronger. There is more gradual build-up to Qui-Gon's decision where he really is cornered without no other choice. I am aware the topic of midichlorian has been beaten to death for decades.
Sorry, we need them to use the Force.
Oh, good. You do understand.
So the Force isn't magic?
Oh, no. Is that what you thought all these years?
It's science. Biology.
However, some have argued midichlorian was intentionally a bad concept. All the issues with midichlorian were intentional, as Lucas intended to highlight the failure of the Jedi Order that they judge a life's value in the Force by measuring the number of microscopic magic cells in their blood. It is an institutional commentary on the Jedi Order, just as what many fans hated about the Jedi in the prequels, such as their forbidden marriage, not allowing emotions, corruption, and incompetence. That is why they were clinging on the Chosen One prophecy to their bitter end. The Jedi have become systematized and dogmatic. They have their traditions and their procedures, and midichlorian was one of the devices to make this point, which flew over fans' heads. While I do like this explanation, this isn't true, as evident in Lucas interviews. However, even if this was true, there would have been a far simpler way to deliver this message. Midichlorian should have been an organism that is used for testing and measuring the living force in a living being. This works far better at delivering this message, retaining the microscopic organism concept Lucas had intended without the conduit origin of the Force baggage that was not needed in the story. With this one change, this amps up the old Jedi's problematic viewpoint far overtly. In Prequel Redone, the Force power is not set in stone for individuals, just as how it was in the original trilogy. However, the Jedi Order's bureaucratized recruitment system effectively divides people into two classes, superior Force-sensitive and inferior non-Force-sensitive. It is why the Jedi take special children all around the galaxy rather than open about its recruitment. It is more about a selected few who are naturally gifted rather than achieving your power through hard work, deciding precisely how strong with the Force someone builds in artificial divisions and competition in an organization that is about maintaining peace and justice. It also plays into the feeling of the Jedi being disconnected from the rest of the galaxy. You must have this level of midichlorian to join our club. It makes Grievous' canon backstory of wanting to be a Jedi but was denied because of not being a Force-sensitive more poignant. I think this change would have allowed the sequel trilogy to have a point in refuting this idea and embracing the democratization of the Force even further, acknowledging there is indeed a natural talent, like Rey and Anakin, but baseline talent does not ensure success or failure, and anyone can become a powerful Force user.
That Force does not belong to the Jedi. To say that if the Jedi die, the light dies is vanity. Can you feel that?
Standing as if carved from stone, Alana clicks on a broadcast and stands watching a broken Sio Bibble's plea to come home, to save his people from starvation, to help them in their time of need.
Cut off all food supplies. Death toll, catastrophic. Your Majesty, please tell us what to do. If you can hear us, you must return.
The hologram is grainy and unclear, but Bibble's kind face cuts to her heart. He is bruised and scarred. Separatist trick or not, the suffering of Alderaan is written on every feature as he pleads for them to return. The holocam then turns to focus on another round of 30 cuffed Alderaanians, begging and crying out for their lives. Like taking livestock to slaughter, the droids march out and push them against the wall. The battle droids round them up. They are normal citizens randomly dragged off from the camps.
Ready weapon.
Please come back to Aldera. I don't want to die.
Your life is important, but my life is also important.
Fire. Blast him.
The blasters go off. It turns her stomach how one being can do this to another, but she quickly understands how. As he said, the droids have no remorse.
Human life cease.
They carry out the command without any joy, disgust, or empathy.
Subject terminated.
Droids have no regard for life or compassion. They don't regard their victims as people. Alana watches it all the way through, her head bent. She wishes she didn't see it, but as the queen, it is important to know their atrocities for posterity. One line after another, it is endless. She will have to find a way to bear that pain. In the cave, the crackling message begins to repeat itself.
Alana.
Alana turns the transmission off, and the transmission flickers and disappears. The screams fade into silence. Alana sits staring at the empty space it left behind, her smooth face troubled. Her hands work quietly in her lap, betraying a nervousness she cannot quite manage to hide. She turns her gaze to handmaiden Dorm, who has spotted her listening to the broadcast.
Captain Panica forbade you from listening.
Am I a handmaiden or Queen of Alderaan?
Alana manages to get to her feet, her hand instinctively moving down to her wounded leg.
Am I Alana or Breha?
Dorm hesitates, her voice breaking.
You are our queen.
Then I have my duty, and that duty demands that I soon return to the city.
She takes a deep breath, but does not back down from that imposing duty.
You should stay here, where it is safe.
My father has always said, the safest ship in the universe is the one at anchor. But a ship that doesn't go out to sea is no longer a ship. There is nothing more I can do if I run. My place is with my people.
You wish to surrender?
My fate will be no different from that of Alderaan. I shall not deny that fate nor die in anonymity.
Your Majesty.
I am speaking as your queen, and I am issuing you an order. Take me to them.
Dorm's shoulders slump in defeat, and her gaze softens as her eyes turn toward the ground. She challenges her queen's reasoning, arguing against all of this insanity.
But they will kill you.
Breha smiles, a small attempt at levity.
I will be fine.
Then she embraces her handmaiden in a great and tight hug, squeezing all the tighter when she hears Dorm start to weep.
I will be back in no time.
Breha fights back her own tears. Both know it is a lie. That night he has a new dream. Still blurry, but just slightly clearer than the last time. The figures are Jedi, holding lightsabers. One falls and another fighter continues to fight against the one. The dream shimmers. Anakin's eyes pop open wide. He has been sleeping in the cockpit of his pod, parked at the main hangar of the Mos Espa Podracer arena for the race. The hangar is a cavernous building that houses podracers and equipment and serves as a staging area for vehicles and crews on race days. A handful of racers are already in place on the service pads, and dozens of aliens who had found their way to Tatooine from every corner of the galaxy crawling all over the pods and engines as pit bosses and pilots shout instructions. The clash and shriek of metal on metal echo in an ear-splitting din through the hangar's vast chamber. While Anakin's waking moments have become painful, sleeping is even worse. Anakin has a secret. A dark secret. It has to do with the dreams he has. His dreams are different from the dreams of others he knows. It is about the way his dreams always end. It is a secret that frightens him, one he can never tell. Anain's heart is still wild in his chest. He turns to see R2-D2 scuttle around the racer, applying paint in broad strokes to its polished metal body, aided by a light projecting from a receptacle mounted over his visual sensors. R2-D2 likes having his master around, exchanging beeps and chirps as he scuttles about the racer. The little astromech droid works tirelessly, cheerfully, and willingly. Nothing perturbs him. Anakin envies him. Droids are either well put together or they aren't. Unlike humans, they don't respond to weariness or disappointment.
Did you give the pod a check?
Anakin looks around the hangar where a dozen crews are preparing their racers. Good mechanics are hard to find out here. He never saw so many creatures pretending they know what they are doing. One team has mounted their engines backward. Nervous drivers scream in frustration. The tension is understandable. The law of pod racing is unforgiving. Once the race begins, few will finish, and many will die trying. Then Anakin finds Kagan. He is already there, with a scarf covering the lower half of his face for disguise, strolling with Watto through the hangar. Because of the clamor echoing through the hangar, he can't hear what they are talking about. Judging from the crowd in the pod racing hangar, the Bunta race seems to be the only exciting event on Tatooine. Kagan can see natives of the Outer Rim worlds, from Malastair to Tund. Each of them has brought a custom-designed pod racer and a crew of droids and mechanics to work on them. The prize money for this race must be significant, to attract so many. Watto seems to take it for granted. He flies alongside Kagan with blatant disregard for everything but his own conversation.
The sandstorm yesterday got ya.
Kagan pulls the scarf to cover his face more. He coughs and looks around to see if there are any bounty hunter nearby.
As if it poured sand into my lungs.
Hey, good that the weather forecasters got it right today. I wanna see your spaceship the moment the race is over.
Patience. You'll have your winnings before the sun's set, and we'll be far away from here.
Not if your ship belongs to me. I warn you, no funny business.
Watto says as they make their way toward the area assigned to Anakin.
You think Anakin will lose?
Sebulba there is gonna win. I'm betting everything on Sebulba.
He motions to a bright orange racer parked close at hand. The orange racer's engines are modified so that when the energy binders are activated and the engines joined, they form a distinctive X shape. Sitting to one side of the racer is a Doug, Sebulba, his wicked eyes fixed on them, his slender limbs drawn up in a vaguely menacing gesture before the fans who have gathered around him. Kagan frowns and turns to Watto.
Always wins?
Because es Jabba the Hutt Skywalker. And he flees like his title, walking the sky like he owns it.
Anakin's voice echoes in the hangar, drawing attention.
Your master is right there.
Kagan catches sight of Anakin, telling Obi-Wan where Kagan is. Next to Obi-Wan are Shmi and Anakin's friends, who have arrived at the hangar with him. Padme is riding one of the two Eops. She looks mystique with her face covering. Obi-Wan shushes Anakin and walks toward Kagan. Upon hearing the word master, Watto looks at Kagan strangely. Kagan realizes Anakin's mistake.
He is my slave.
Watto eyes him for a beat, puzzled, then heads off. Kagan hurriedly gestures at Obi-Wan to cover his face. A masked Obi-Wan comes to Kagan with two Eops. Those long-snout pack animals would pull the pod's turbines to the race arena out in the desert. Kagan would dare anything when he finds a challenge that interests him, even if he risks himself in the undertaking. So it is here. Anakin is a risk of the greatest magnitude, and there is no reason to think that embracing such a risk would reap even the smallest reward. He can't believe Kagan did this without consulting him. Obi-Wan looks at Anakin, chatting with his mother and friends in a casual manner in his pod. Obi-Wan tells Kagan in a quiet voice.
I sense a loss of focus with him.
Maybe for the moment, but you must look deeper.
From the corner of Qui-Gon's eye, he sees Obi-Wan glaring at him, half warning, half pleading.
I've looked deep enough, and there is nothing to see. All this is an unneeded distraction.
Your sensitivity to the living force is not your strength.
I wonder what Master Yoda had been thinking all those years ago when he brought you and me together.
Kagan glowers.
I wonder why you are my learner when you keep disrespecting me.
It is not disrespect, Master. It is the truth.
From your point of view, perhaps.
Qui-Gon's face is hard and tight with anger, frustrated with his apprentice's obsession with the Council and the Authority. He wrinkles his smooth brow.
The Council will decide Anakin's future. That should be enough for you.
He says as if that settles the matter. Instead, Obi-Wan meets his gaze.
The boy will not pass the Council's test. We have the code for a reason.
Obi-Wan starts to say something more, but the Jedi Master cuts him short. Kagan again holds his calm and controlled voice.
Listen to me, my young Padawan. There are secrets hidden in the Force that are yet to be discovered. The Force is vast and pervasive, and all living things are a part of it. It is not always apparent what their purpose is, however. Sometimes that purpose must be sensed first in order that it may be revealed later.
Obi-Wan's young face clouds. He shakes his head.
Why must you always be the one to do the uncovering? Some secrets are best left concealed, Master. You know how the Council feels about these detours. Perhaps, just once, the uncovering should be left to someone else.
Kagan looks sad. Their perspectives cannot be more different.
No, Obi-Wan. Secrets must be exposed when found. Detours must be taken when encountered. If you stand at the crossroads, you must never leave it to another to act in your place.
Is it a detour or a dead end?
Like all of the Jedi Knights, Obi-Wan Kenobi had been identified and claimed from his parents early in his life. He no longer remembers anything of them now. The Jedi Knights had become his family. Of those, he is closest to Kagan, who had become his most trusted friend. Kagan understands his attachment and shares it. Obi-Wan is the brother he will never have. He is the future Kagan would leave behind when he dies. His hopes for Obi-Wan are enormous, but he does not always share his students' beliefs. Padme gets into the conversation.
If it's the latter, we might well be freeing the slaves while we stay here.
Obi-Wan shakes his head.
If the Republic can't stop them, we must abide.
Padme punches her open palm.
It's outrageous.
It galls her to think that the slavers are weaseling out of their well-deserved punishment.
At least we can free him and his mother.
If he wins.
Kagan is possessed of his own peculiar vision of a Jedi's purpose, of the nature of service, and of the causes he should undertake, and he follows that vision with unwavering single-mindedness. Anakin and his companions come over to the Jedi and the girl.
Anakin. Today, you carry all our futures.
His future as well. The time of waiting has long passed. The choice is to lose and go extinct as a slave, or win and be free. There is no middle ground.
He has enough riding on this race already. No need to put any more pressure on him. You'll do it this time, Annie.
He knows how important it is. Kagan can sense the tension within him.
I won't let you down. I promise. I have been preparing to win my whole life.
Your whole life? You've never won a race.
Well, not exactly.
You didn't know?
He almost won if Sebulba hadn't cheated and smashed him into Metadrop.
Obi-Wan sounds horrified.
Your pod was smashed? How did you practice then?
He couldn't.
Anakin blocks Owen's mouth.
I'll win anyway, so.
Of course you will.
He laughs it off awkwardly, in a tone that makes Obi-Wan want to take his lightsaber and clunk him over the head. Anakin is the one on whom their hopes depend. The boy's enthusiasm is hard to resist. But what is he thinking, to get a boy mixed up in the middle of a mission? Even if he wins the race, what will he do with him once they get to Coruscant? Obi-Wan studies Anakin. He doesn't know about this. He just doesn't know. Meanwhile, Watto approaches Anakin's empty pod. Stopping at the left engine, he reaches up and breaks a small part protruding from it. He glances around to see if anyone has noticed. Footnote. The only remotely compelling characters in The Phantom Menace are Anakin and Padme, but they are not the protagonists. Kagan and Obi-Wan are, and they both boring, bland, and have no internal struggle. When you pair two characters together for an entire movie, the story needs a conflict between them or else you get a stale character dynamic that will bore the audience to tears. This is the basic buddy cop dynamics that make the pairing of two characters work. There are only two conflicts between Kagan and Obi-Wan in this movie. The first is when Kagan bets on the pod racing. Obi-Wan asks,
"What if this plan fails, Master? We could be stuck here a very long time."
Well, it's too dangerous to call for help, and
A ship without a power supply isn't going to get us anywhere. And there's something about this boy.
This could be an interesting basis to spark a heated argument. But it doesn't happen. Those two lines of the comlink conversation are the start and the end of the conflict. That's the scene. That one line of concern is the only time Obi-Wan shows any sort of resistance to Qui-Gon's decision on the pod race. He listens to and follows everything his master tells. There is another moment later in the film like this, which I will talk about later. This is the reason why the scenes starring Kagan and Obi-Wan are boring, because there is no drama. Compare this to A New Hope, where everyone hates one another for most of the movie. Luke and Han don't get along.
10,000? I'd almost buy our own ship for that.
But who's gonna fly it, kid? You?
You bet I could. I'm not such a bad pilot myself. I don't have to sit here.
Han and Obi-Wan don't get along.
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all-powerful force controlling everything. There's no mystical energy field controls my destiny.
Leia and Han don't get along.
From now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
Look, your worshipfulness, let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me.
So when are you still alive?
Leia and Chewie don't get along.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
No reward is worth this.
3PO and R2 don't get along.
Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile.
Vader and Tarkin don't get along.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
This makes the character interactions fun and entertaining. For example, you have Luke trying to save Leia and pitching a plan to rescue her against Han, who's trying to just escape the Death Star.
I'm not going anywhere. They're going to execute her. Look, a few minutes ago he said he didn't want to just wait here to be captured. Now all you want to do is stay?
marching into the detention area is not what I had in mind.
But they're going to kill her.
Better her than me.
Luke has to use his wits and convince Han by appealing to his character trait, greed.
She's rich. Rich, powerful. Listen, if you were to rescue her, the reward would be...
What?
Well, more wealth than you can imagine.
This scene alone establishes the cast far better than the entirety of The Phantom Menace. These characters, on paper, are archetypes, but the movie executes them in a way that feel believable. Even though we don't learn much about their backstories, they still manage to sell the idea of these characters being real. You can see other scenes of conflicts like this peppered throughout the movie between Luke, Leia, and Han, so every scene between these characters is entertaining because those conflicts are always on display. The original trilogy achieves the characterization through visuals, conflict, desires, body language, interactions, acting. It uses a variety of different ways to humanize the characters and puts forward their traits, flaws, and wants. As a result, the characters pop. These movies are more about the character relationships, and their adventure is where the story shines. The prequels are the opposite. The characters are detailed on paper, like how Kagan has a carefree interpretation on the Jedi philosophy, and how Obi-Wan is more aligned with the Code and Council, and how Anakin is a prophesied virgin birth, and so on, but the lore alone doesn't make up for good characterization. They are one note in the actual movie without given much exploration. Redone makes the conflict between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan more overt and confrontational to demonstrate their characters. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Seeing a character struggle and showing human sides will always be greater than that being explained in words. Qui-Gon's decision to free only one slave, Anakin, has garnered many criticisms. Some people point out he had no other choice, though considering how Qui-Gon Jinn's character was supposed to be a maverick Jedi within the Order, who buckles the Council's status quo, it is even weirder for him to turn blind eyes. This is worsened when you read a comic that has Qui-Gon explaining the slaves would be better off as property than as free beings. Honestly, I think this is the area where Lucas didn't much think about the implications when he was writing the script. It would have been nice to have a few lines of exchange or argument that tie the Republic's inability to stop the slave trade and the Republic being corrupt. Redone adds several discussions of this that build up to the overall theme of the trilogy. The storm had subsided, and the wind abated. The twin suns of Tatooine rise. Within an hour, the heat is stifling. A vast arena in the Tatooine desert. A large semicircular amphitheater that holds at least 100,000 people dominates the landscape, jamming into the grandstand seats, crowding onto the broad viewing platforms, filling the available space. Large viewing platforms loom over the racetrack. Owners and vendors are completing sales and glancing in the direction of the traffic's steady flow. The arena becomes a vast sea of color and movement. Cam droids fly around to capture the roaring audience in the arena. The two suns are directly overhead, and the heat is so intense it feels like flame. It is a broiling hot day. The arena is lined with viewing stands where the spectators gather to watch and bet. The turnout is always large because everyone loves to watch pod races. Excitement is rare on Tatooine. On race days the crowded streets of Mos Espa are empty. From a monitoring tower, a two-headed Troig announcer, Fode and Bede, describes the scene. Fode speaks in Galactic Basic and Bede speaks in Huttese.
Tugi. Tummi cha kolka du bunta magi. Taus azalis oval pod races.
That's absolutely right. And a big turnout here from all corners of the Outer Rim territories. I see the contestants are making their way out onto the starting grid.
The signal comes for the pod racers to take their positions. On the left side of the tracks across from the grandstands, a line of pod racers emerges from the large hangar, surrounded by several crew members. Pods are pulled by a wide variety of creatures. Some are towed by Eopes, some by repulsor sled, all part of a long procession of pilots, pit crews, and hanger-on. Anakin, Padme, and Qui-Gon pull out his racer by hand to join the row of pilots, while the rest of the group has their Eopes haul their pod racer out into the arena. Bands play in support of some racers, and isolated horns and drums beat in wild appreciation for all. Both Qui-Gon and Padme are shocked at the huge size of the arena and the tremendous crowd. Every available seat is filled. The heat and the noise are like a physical force, pressing against her chest. Brightly colored canopies shade the more expensive seats, and food vendors have set up stands in several places. The racecourse itself swings into the desert and out of sight. The grandstand is huge and filled to overflowing. There must be 100,000 beings here, Padme thinks. Most of the spectators have purchased small, specialized view screens so they can follow every minute of the pod race. The excitement in the air is catching.
La Waime Beast 2.
I see Ben Quadinaros from the Tun system.
Ben Quadinaros, a male Tun, waves his hands.
Agiscano Duanupa or Petrovia.
Giscano, a male Zexto, waves his forearms.
Two-time winner, Bowles Rower.
Bowles Rower, a male Sneevil, raise his hands.
Ku Chula Musta, Wo Grain Skywalker, Sebulba.
Sebulba gets on his pod and receives the largest crowd reaction. He stands and waves to his fans, drowning in applause. Padme nears Anakin.
That's Sebulba? He's ugly.
I don't care about looks, but I do care about cheating, and he's the worst.
And in the front row, near side pole position, Mahonik.
Mahonik, a grandman, bows to the crowd.
A hearty hello to Clegg Holdfast and his Voltec KT-9 Wasp.
Clegg Holdfast, a Nosorian, bows like a gentleman.
And back again, it's the mighty Dud Bolt with that incredible racing machine, the Vulturine 327.
The crowd cheers.
And hoping for a big win today, Odie Mandrell, with his record-setting pit droid team.
Pit droids fight each other next to Mandrell's pod.
And a late entry, young Anakin, a local human slave.
Boop human BU race.
Anakin, with our two D2 standing beside him, gets little to no cheer, though the slave kids, Owen, Wald, Baru, Seek, and Melee, cheer loudly from the crew pits on the ground. Their support is enough for Anakin. Anakin waves at his fellow slaves and then returns to his work.
I see the flags are moving out onto the track.
The flaggers hold various large flags, fluttering in the wind, onto the track. The flags bear the insignia of the racers and their sponsors waved over the assemblage, signifying favorites and creating impromptu cheering sections. Qui-Gon is holding Anakin's flag. Shmi holds Anakin's arms and tells him in a tone that is half command, half entreaty.
Be safe.
I will, Mom.
Unsteadily, Shmi walks toward the grandstand. Anakin was distracted by the cheering when Sebulba's name was announced. He is considered the best pod racer on Tatooine, and everyone is betting on him to win the Bunta Classic again. And where is Sebulba? Hanging behind him. Sebulba edges his way next to Anakin and gives him a sinister grin.
You still naga Tabidu Skywalker, huh?
Anger shows in Anakin's face, but he crushes it down until it almost doesn't exist, and keeps marching.
I don't want to do this right now, Sebulba.
I warned you. Yuba Wahoo even Banto BC Jish winning, Banda Pudu.
Anakin looks the evil Sebulba in the eye with a cold stare.
Cha Skrendi de Pad, Slimo.
Padme approaches them and gives a warning look, and Sebulba backs off.
Shak Kong.
Anakin's eyes squint.
What did he call you?
Slave scum.
Although Anakin is nervous, he also knows he can do it. He'd raced against most of these creatures before. As long as his podracer stays in one piece and he keeps away from Sebulba, he can beat them all. Qui-Gon comes to Anakin. His face is warm and reassuring.
Are you all set?
Anakin gets into the pod, preparing his racer.
Are to check the pod this morning. Sebulba will be chewing on my exhaust in a couple of minutes.
Qui-Gon feels the dangerous tension within Anakin change slowly to normal excitement. The Jedi breathes a small sigh of relief. Though he does not doubt the power of the Force could not act through a mind clouded by fear.
Anakin, remember. Concentrate on the moment. Feel. Don't think. Trust your instincts.
It is as near as he could safely come to telling Anakin to use the Force that flows so strongly in him. Without training, more specific advice would only confuse him. Anakin nods.
I will.
Qui-Gon gives Anakin a big hug. R2-D2 rolls up to Anakin and beeps with approval and reassurance. Qui-Gon looks him right in the eye before stepping away.
May the Force be with you.
And that's when Anakin realizes that as far as Qui-Gon is concerned, this isn't just a race. It is also a test. Of him.
And be safe.
Thank you,
Padme.
Anakin grins. Finally, he knows her name.
Padme.
Before the race starts, a flurry of movement in the royal box signals the arrival of Jabba the Hutt and Gardola, his female friend. Slithering into the dark interior of the box, the two Hutts ooze their way along the flooring to their designated places amid the bright silks that drape the rough stone. A coterie of humans and aliens come out to the arched overlook where they could be seen by the people of Mos Espa, guests of Mos Espa's rulers on race day, a coveted designation. A line of slave girls of varying species come last, chained together, there for the amusement of those who had chosen freely to attend. One of the Troig's heads announces.
His Honor, our glorious host, Jabba the Hutt has entered the arena.
The racers form a line facing the dark royal box and on command bow deeply in recognition of and to pay homage to their benefactor. Hesse Stantley Anakin bows at last. He shoots a vicious stare. This is ridiculous, Anakin thinks. Jabba the Hutt, the biggest slime in the galaxy, sat in that box, and the racers have to bow as if he is some kind of king. The king of the crooks, maybe. The Hutts never even reveal themselves to the masses directly. They are always under the shadow behind the bulletproof glass. Jabba fears assassins, and he has too many enemies to count. Yet he basks in the crowd's appreciative roar despite only a few knowing what he even looks like.
Ciao Beso.
Inside the box, Jabba rumbles, his deep voice echoing through the sound enhancers and out across the flats.
Tam Kachi Bunta Relia, Ki Madadruda Du 1D. Welcome.
The crowd roars some more, arms and flags waving madly. Horns blare, and a new roar rises from the crowd.
Ka Baza Kundita Tam Druddle. Let the challenge begin.
Anakin and the rest of the racers climb into their pods, settle themselves in place in the seat, secure their straps. Anakin fits his old, battered racing helmet over his head.
Get ready.
The pilots flip switches, and powerful energy binders shoot between the engines, powerful electromagnetic currents arcing between coaxial plates, locking the twin engines of each pod racers together as a single unit.
Yapawa Kolka Do Rundi.
Hey, it looks like they're clearing the grid.
Flag bearers and pit crews move hastily aside, clearing the start line beneath the arc that marks the beginning and end of the race. It is up to Anakin now. Qui-Gon and Padme move through the crowd to the viewing platform where Obi-Wan waits. They then take off the uncomfortable face coverings. Shmi gives Qui-Gon a worried, questioning look as he mounts the platform.
Is he nervous?
He's not easily distracted. That's a good sign.
And to Obi-Wan's eye, It seems impossible that this makeshift bucket can carry Anakin to victory. He shakes his head. He isn't ready to forgive him.
This is a disaster waiting to happen. This is pure recklessness.
The boy's mother trusts my judgment. Perhaps you should, too.
Obi-Wan glares at him.
We should be protecting this boy, Master, not depending on him to save us.
Alderaan didn't err when we put our fate in the hands of a girl.
Kagan turns to her, giving her an appreciative glance.
Since we already went all in, let's just trust Anakin like we do with my queen.
The race will begin soon. He hides his apprehension and wishes the Force to be with Anakin. The platform lifts into position for the race like an elevator. The viewing platform locks into place, and all eyes turn toward the racers.
Start your engines.
Overhead, a red light holds the racers in place. Anakin brings down his goggles and flips a switch. His engine, as well as the engines of other racers, begin to turn over, their booming coughs and rumbles mingling with the earth-pounding roars of the 20 or so engines revving are deafening. There's no sound like it. The roar of a dozen pod racers is so loud it hurts Anakin's ears. It's like sticking a head inside a hyperdrive motivator. For him, that sound is pure adrenaline. It makes him want to go fast and win. The light goes yellow. When Shmi hears the engines ignite and roar, her cheer is louder than anybody's. At that moment, anything seems possible. On the contrary, R2-D2 worried beeps. Next to the droid, Owen and Wald lean forward in dead silence. Anticipating the green, the pilots gun their engines, the massive casing shaking with the force of the power they generate, the cables that bound them to the pods and their drivers straining to break free. We see the back of Jabba's seat at an angle where we can only see his thick arm holding a living lizard. He brings his snack to his mouth, tears its head off with a bite, and spits the head out at the gong. The moment the gong sound spreads the arena, the light over the starting line flashes bright green. The pod racers shoot forward with a high-pitched scream, and the race is underway. Anakin forgets everything but the race. He shoves the control levers, hoping to establish a good position from the very beginning. The pod racer leaps forward, and Anakin's big rocket engines buck, cough, then die. Anakin freezes. He sat there in the cloud of exhaust and dust as the other pod racers shoot away from the starting line. For a split second he is in shock. Sebulba. All at once he thinks he'd sabotaged engines, then realizes he had no time or approached his pod. But it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is getting back into the race. Frantically, Anakin works the controls as Podracer after Podracer swerves around him in a cacophony of sound and vanishes down the track that leads into the desert. Sand fountain in the wake of their passing, clouding the air in a whirlwind of grit. In seconds, Anakin is alone, save for Ben Quadinaro's quadrupod, which sits stalled at the starting line in a mirror image of Anakin's.
And thereof.
Oh wait, little Anakin has stalled.
The crowd mocks at the stalled craft. Owen and his friends are in agony. Watto's laugh is bigger than anyone else's around him. Anakin's mind races. He struggles to get his racer started. Ahead, Anakin watches Sebulba's bright orange racer and Mohanic's pod go neck and neck into the first turn by the rock formations. Mohanic doesn't know what he is up against. If he'd had a comlink, he might have tried to warn him. The pod racers fly across the desert, Starlight Flats, the first piece of terrain that the contestants of the Bunta Eve Classic have to race through.
It looks like Quadinaro's is having engine trouble also.
Quadinaro's pounds on his dashboard in frustration. Obi-Wan stops breathing.
Come on, Annie!
Anakin knows if he loses the race, Kagan, Padme, and Obi-Wan might be stuck on Tatooine for a long time. And when you are young and pretty on Tatooine, it isn't long before you belong to Jabba. To imagine Padme chained like a slave makes his blood boil. After pressing buttons and flickering switches, finally, Anakin sees the problem. The fuel regulator had been manually adjusted to full open, and the engines had flooded. How did that happen? R2-D2 checked it, he checked it. He loses more precious seconds waiting for the extra fuel to evaporate and the engines to start again. At last, Anakin presses the ignition buttons, and the big Ray Donulzers roar to life. Without waiting to see if the engines would keep running, he slides the thruster bars forward and sends his pod racer screaming after the pack. The engines shoot ahead, dragging the pod and Anakin after them, leaving Quadinaro still trying to get started.
And there goes Anakin.
Obi-Wan sighs out of a small relief.
Go, Annie, go!
They all watch Anakin's racing pod through the handheld datapad, as pictures of the racers are transmitted from droid observation holocams.
He'll be hard-pressed to catch up with the leaders.
Kagan stands as if he is trying to enjoy a sunny day. Sometimes, he even closes his eyes. He doesn't even break a sweat. He can feel Anakin in the pod. The racers are flying through Mushroom Mesa, the region riddled with colossal stone pillars formed over many eons by severe weathering and erosion. Sebulba is running neck and neck with Mohonic. Sebulba hits Mohonic's smaller pod with his larger one. Mohonic shakes his fist. Sebulba curses in Huttese and drives his pod into his rival, forcing him into the wall of a large rock formation. Mohonic crashes in a spectacular display of fire and smoke. Sebulba laughs. Meanwhile, Anakin has already torn across the flats and arrived at the same region. He gives chase with single-minded determination. The first set of rock formations rises up against the horizon. Anakin can see the other pod racers now. Anakin closes on them, his engines screaming. He goes by two as if they are standing still, angling his way left and then right, threading the needle of space they have left between them. Ebe Crater Valley is pocketed with dips and craters. Sebulba is at the lead. The trailing pod racers come into view ahead of him. He's catching them, the racers blasting toward a narrow opening of Beggar's Canyon on Tatooine. Again, he works the controls, feeding power first to one engine, then the other. The dark crease of the canyon looms ahead. Anakin jams the thruster bars all the way forward, and his racer accelerates with incredible speed. Anakin threads the eye of its needle opening with skill, racing into the cool shadows beyond. Anakin works the thruster bars with small, precise movements, envisioning the course in his mind, each twist, each turn, each rise and drop of the narrow pathway. Beggar's Canyon is a canyon that cuts through the bend's mesa. People view the race from the balcony. There is an access ramp right next to the track, where the workers and crowd stand and watch the race. The race then continues onto a length of desert plains abutting the Dune Sea. Pilots pass through Arch Canyon, one of the most hazardous areas where natural stone arches spend the canyon's width, but Anakin speeds easily through the series of stone arches. Without other pod racers getting in his way, they are simple. The Jag Crag Gorge is a steep-sided gorge near Arch Canyon on Tatooine. The pods fly through its twisting channel marked with spires and outcroppings into the cave. Anakin's radon ulcers hum anxiously, the steelton cables drawing on the racing pod with just the right amount of give through the wicked turns. He barely dodges the dark obstacles ahead. Behind Anakin, the Alina racer Rat's Tyrol crashes into a stalactite, screaming. His pod erupts in a large explosion that quickly fills the whole cave. Anakin barely escapes the flames and exits the cave. Got to remember to watch that on the next lap. Outside the cave, pilots race through a sharply curving canyon. A vengeful tribe of 4 Tusken Raiders camp on the ridge overlooking the canyon shoots at the pod racers with their slug throwers. Some instinct makes him veer to one side. An instant later, a shot ricochets off the rear of his pod. Good thing he dodged in time. He speeds up unevenly, trying to make the pod racer a hard target to hit. He must have been successful, no more shots strike his pod while he is still within range. They watch the distant part of the race on view screens. The track loops through narrow canyons, tall cliffs, high dunes, and flat deserts. It is treacherous. Padme doesn't know how anyone can pilot a pod racer at such speeds and survive.
Looks like a few Tusken Raiders have camped out on the canyon dune turn.
Obi-Wan and Kagan exchange worried glances. Shmi grimaces. Meanwhile, Quadenaros is still unable to ignite his engine. 4 Tusken Raiders let out a war cry. Pod racer pilots are forced to keep to the outside of the bend, away from a large stone spindle while making the turn. Quadenaros curses and finally manages to start the engines of his racer, all 4 bulbous monsters roaring to life, vibrating within their casing. Engines and pod lurch as Quadenaros locks in the thrusters. But in the next instant the energy binders collapse under the strain, the connecting cables snap, and the engines hoot off in 4 separate directions in a spectacular display, with the pilot being tugged up only a few feet. The crowd gasps in shock, shielding eyes and covering ears. Large cheers and laughs from the crowd.
Oh, there goes Quadenaro's power coupling.
Quadenaro's pod drops to the ground as Sebulba screams past the arena, closely followed by all the other racers.
Sebulba. Ka pa mi chispa wada.
The crowd stands and screams. Watto is laughing with his friends, confident in Anakin's defeat.
Odi Mandrell. Kuna wa wanda dunko.
A 4th, Odi Mandrell, turns into the pits, the engines of his pod shaking and smoking as he screeches to a stop. Odi shouts at the pit droids as they rush to service the racer, swarming over the engine. Droids work on his engines, but one droid stands in front of the engine and gets sucked in, causing the engine to die. The droid gets spit out the back of the engine, very bent up. The engine lets out one final wheeze, then explodes in a puff of smoke. Odi collapses in the cockpit with a devastated scream.
Where is Anakin?
Look! Here he comes!
Sure enough, coming around the bend is Anakin, quickly gaining on the pack as he explodes out of the midday glare, the big radon ulcers howling in fury. The crowd let out boo at no-name racers.
It looks like Anakin is moving up in the field.
Owen and Wald dance as Anakin's pod racer sweeps past them. It is incredible. Amazing. Even Obi-Wan begins to emote, but pretends not.
2 more circuits?
Oh dear.
The battle in the first lap was already agonizing. Lap 2. As the race progresses, wind whips by Anakin in a screaming rush, locking him away in its white noise. Giscano sees in the view screen that Anakin is right behind him. Anakin tries to go around him, but Giscano slides sideways in the same direction, blocking him. Anakin veers to the opposite side, but the other driver seems to expect it, and cuts him off again. And again. Anakin frowns in concentration. He remembers there's a drop coming up. He pulls back, leaving an extra length between his podracer and the one that blocks him. Then, just as the other driver goes over the drop, Anakin shoves both engine controls full open. The podracer surges forward. It flies off the edge of the cliff and over the blocking racer, barely missing the other driver's engines. The pod comes down with a jolt that rattles Anakin's teeth, but a quick check shows all the warning lights still shining green. It worked. Teamto Pegalize, Vecnoid Nail, bumps into the pod of Anakin, which in turn causes Anakin to scrape a cliff face. Pegalize nears Anakin's craft once again, but Anakin manages to swing his pod over Pegalize, effectively moving out of harm's way. But that risky move makes a protruding part of Anakin's left engine, the one Watto sabotaged prior to the race, shaky. Anakin races through the valley, flying past other racers. The part of the engine shudders violently. Anakin's podracer display alarming. The engine part tears off, which flies toward Anakin directly. He swings his body wide, hoping to avoid, and sure enough, a fragment of he hits the seat. Anakin barely compensates in time, but the left engine begins to catch fire as the pod enters the entrance of Beggar's Canyon. Anakin eases off on the thruster bars to fix the issue. Anakin flies right into an enormous cloud of dust. In the process, he is forced to give way. Other pilots race past him. Obi-Wan lets out a low moan and scans the view screen. They lean close, eyes straining.
Anakin's in trouble.
Obi-Wan watches this on the datapad.
Not good.
Careful, Anakin.
The tension would break her. The usually calm Kagan is twisting his tunic in his hands until it is a sodden mess. All of his concentration and control in silence don't help with this agonizing tension. Anakin's pod display beeps in an emergency. He cuts the engine power, and then the fire on the left engine goes out, yet the cockpit still beeps. Then Anakin realizes this is not Sebulba's doing. He wouldn't know exactly which part to break in order to decapitate his pod racer. Then it must be. He switches to an auxiliary system, which shows the power is only concentrated on the right engine while the left is drained out. Anakin unplugs a wire from the right side of the cockpit and inserts it into the left. The engine power floods back and distributes evenly on both radon ulcers, but it is not enough to bring them back to life. The rocks of Arch Canyon loom ahead on the horizon. Time and space are running out on Anakin. Anakin flickers an ignition switch again and again. The engine coughs for a few seconds and comes to life with a boom. The display beeps and the engines turn green. He shoves the thruster bars forward and Anakin navigates on his way in the canyon. Anakin skillfully dodges the rocks in the track. Anakin bears down on the leaders, young face intense. In the cave, using the tight confines to his advantage while others struggle, Anakin manages to pilot past the other racers. Anakin just flies past Teamto Pegalize as they exit the cave. Tusken Raiders, hiding in the rocks of the cliffs, fire on the racers. Anakin's pod takes another shot from the Tuskens. Teamto Pegalize is not so lucky, as his pod's fuel tank takes a hit, causing him to crash. The cockpit spirals out of control and rolls on the ground.
Oh, I don't care what universe you're from. That's gotta hurt.
Anakin is in 5th place, behind Clegg Holdfast, Neva Key, Marsgwa, and Sebulba.
There's him.
At the start of the 3rd and final lap, Sebulba is in the lead, followed by Gwa, Key, Holdfast, and Anakin.
Whenever they catch sight of Anakin, they are amazed at his skill. He swerves, dives, plummets, corrects, and hops over other racers. He is one with the machine. He has no time to plan a move, he just moves. R2-D2 keeps up a constant beep of cheer. Owen punches in the air, screaming.
Hooray!
Padme cheers the hardest when Anakin comes through the arena and zooms past, even though he can't hear or see them.
Not very much like a princess, are you?
I suppose I see a parallel.
Parallel.
Aren't we moving, swerving, dodging, all without a plan?
They are in the same boat, carrying nothing but hope. Lap 3. Anakin narrows the gap between himself and the leaders. Key tries to pass Sebulba. Sebulba waits until his rival pulls alongside, then triggers a buzzsaw below his left engine. The buzzsaw damages Key's engine, cutting apart the metal housing as if it were made of paper. Key tries frantically to move away, but he is too slow. He dives nose first into the desert, sending a wide spray of grit everywhere. Momentarily blinded, Holdfast swerves the wrong way and crashes right into Key's cockpit. Holdfast likely survived, Key did not. Seeing another wreck ahead of him, Anakin works the thruster bars smoothly, sliding past the rubbles. He is now bearing down on Sebulba and Gwa closely. Gwa takes the lead. Anakin and Sebulba are racing side by side. Sebulba decides to put an end to Anakin once and for all. He knows where all the droid observation cams are situated. He knows the angles of placement and how to avoid giving himself away. Swinging his racer close to Anakin's, he bumps Anakin's pod, making him almost crash into the wall. Anakin hits the traffic sticks on the edge of the course.
Anakin's been forced onto the service ramp.
Obi-Wan and Padme are sweating. Sebulba doesn't race fairly. He uses any dirty trick he can get away with. There are no rules. Anakin veers from the course right into a line of traffic sticks, sending them in all directions, then the wooden warning sign on the service ramp. People flee before Anakin's pod smashes into it and flies out of the course.
Anakin saw over. No Wanga can recover to the dead.
Sebulba laughs at Anakin, who flies 100 feet in the air. Desperate to recover, Anakin jams his thruster bars forward and accelerates. The Raidonulzer's boom, his racer gives a frightening lurch. Anakin's podracer leapfrogs right behind Sebulba and Bua. The crowd goes wild.
Amazing. A quick controlled thrust and he's back on course.
After coming out of the canyon, ahead, Marsgua is closing on Sebulba. Mars tries to sneak past. Anakin draws nearer to both, leapfrogging sand dunes in a long depression, easing slowly up on Marsgua. Sebulba reaches out of his pod's cockpit and tosses a piece of metal directly into Marsgua's left engine intake. Metal clashes violently against metal, and the damaged engine spews smoke and fire. Mars tries to hold the machine steady, but the failing engine bucks and loses power, causing the pod to veer sharply and crash into the ground. Anakin barely dodges Gua's cockpit spinning around wildly, but a piece of wreckage snags the Steelton line to Anakin's left engine and releases the binding. Instantly Anakin's pod begins to swing violently at the end of its single remaining line, whipsawing back and forth. The engines continue to act in concert, locked together by the energy binders, but the racer swings like a pendulum.
Anakin's spinning out of control.
Obi-Wan and Padme turn pale. The crowd and Watto go wild. Shmi reaches for Qui-Gon's hand. Her hand squeezes his until his bones come together. He doesn't even feel it. R2 scared beeps as he watches Owen's datapad. Anakin's friends react in panic. Grimly, Anakin hangs onto the power controls. No steering, no stability. By instinct and feeling, he keeps the pod racer on course. Anakin works the stabilizer pedals with his feet, which hold the pod steady. The other two racers sweep by him, giving chase to Sebulba. Anakin takes the magnetic retriever on the floor and extends it out of the left side, trying to make contact with the loose cable. Sweat and grit coat his face. After several tries, he snags the loose engine cable with the retriever and maneuvers it back to its hook. Then a bump. Sebulba has returned and hit Anakin's pod with his, causing Anakin to drop the retriever. The cable swings loose again. Sebulba laughs and flies past Anakin. Shmi gasps in terror. Obi-Wan closes his eyes with his hand.
It is over.
No!
Qui-Gon keeps his eyes on the screen. Watto in his seat laughs.
Those farmers made a foolish bargain.
Anakin is devastated, realizing there is nothing he can do to bring the cable. Then he closes his eyes. Breathes in and out. He blocks everything away, sounds and movements alike. Anakin is slowly disappearing into the workings of his racer, becoming one with its engines, feeling the strain and tug on each rivet and screw. He extends his hand and reaches for the cable.
Wait, look!
Obi-Wan looks at the datapad again, which shows Anakin reaching toward the loose cable with his hand. Qui-Gon has not abandoned hope.
You can do it, Anakin.
R2-D2 surveys the screen with curiosity. There is only himself and the machine, melding his body with the pod, the engines, and the loose cable until he is a part of them. The cable begins to move toward the hand. Moment by moment, the symbiosis deepens, joining them, giving Anakin insights and understandings that transcend his senses and knowledge, projecting his mind past the present and into a place others cannot reach. Obi-Wan's eyes widen.
Reach out with your feelings.
Anakin focuses his concentration on snagging the loose engine cable. As if Anakin's flesh has turned into a magnet, the cable whips into his hand. Anakin catches it. Owen hugs Beru and jumps together. Padme gets excited and screams in joy. Her throat is raw with screaming. We see Obi-Wan's astonished face as he finally comes to understand. The boy is special, and he begins to believe. Watto's expressions change as he watches Anakin snatching the cable. A realization hits him. Anakin takes the cable and maneuvers it back to its hook. He then jams the thruster bars forward once more. Stabilized at the ends of the Steelton lines, the pod holds steady now as the Raidonulzers buck, and the racer accelerates after the leaders. Over the course, Sebulba is on the lead, dodging the rocks in the way. Anakin speeds up through the set of caves, right on his tail.
He's catching up to Sebulba.
Inkabunga.
Sebulba and Anakin angle their pods to fit into the narrow gap between escarpments. They burst into the clear once more. Down the flat, open final stretch of the course, the pod racers accelerate, side by side. Anakin tries to win the lead. The only racer left ahead of him is Sebulba's. There is no mistaking the odd shape of those engines. He'll show him what a slave can do. Side by side, they head toward the finish line. Infuriated by Anakin's dogged persistence, Sebulba triggers the buzzsaw. He swerves, deliberately slamming his pod into Anakin's. Sparks fly. Once, twice, but on the third strike, the buzzsaw gets stuck in the protective armor Anakin has installed to his pod, locking them together. The armor was scrappy and improvised in haste, but it works. Furious at Sebulba's maneuver, Anakin fights with his control, trying to break free, but the pods are hooked tight. In his pod, Sebulba is frowning at Anakin. If they cross the finish line together, they'd tie. Neither of them wants that. The crowd cheers.
That little human being is out of his mind.
Punda ta punda.
They're side by side.
Bongo do bongo.
Shmi freezes, her gaze glued to the datapad. Owen and his friends wince. There were no more convenient drop-offs coming up. He wouldn't be able to play the same trick he'd used on that other driver, early in the race. Something else, then. He tries to unlock the buzzsaw by pulling away from Sebulba's Podracer, but they are too tightly caught. Their racers getting locked together like this could hurt Sebulba as much as it could hurt Anakin. Sebulba screams in frustration, jamming his racer against Anakin's in an effort to force him into the ground. In the process, Sebulba's buzzsaw begins to shudder with sparks. Anakin remembers Qui-Gon's advice.
Feel. Don't think. Trust your instincts.
He closes his eyes. Time seems to slow down. His mind extends outward, stretching his feelings, and as Qui-Gon said, it's as if the Podracer has become his body. He can feel every part of the machine. Now he takes his chance. Leaning as hard as he can on Racer's steering arm, Anakin slams his thruster bars back and forth, trying to break away from Sebulba's racer. Meanwhile, they are screaming down the final stretch at top speed. He pushes the steering arm harder, harder. Snap, it breaks. The buzzsaw tears off with parts of Sebulba's engine. Sebulba screams. Sebulba's energy binders cut off and his engines fly in different directions, screaming out of control. One engine slams into a piece of the ancient statuary and disintegrates in flame. Then the second goes, ramming into the sand and exploding in a massive fireball. The towing cables break free, Sebulba's pod skids through the flaming wreckage of the engines, twisting and bumping violently along the desert floor to a smoking stop. Anakin flies overhead toward the arena. Sebulba slams his fists against his pod in disgust.
Pudu.
Anakin flies by as the crowd stands, cheering. Anakin races over the finish line, the winner. Anakin becomes, at 15 years of age, the youngest winner ever of the Bunta Eve race. Padme screams and laughs and jumps up and down as Anakin zooms into the arena. Not like a princess. Like a girl. At that moment, she is glad to be disguised as a farmer, for it gives her freedom to do the things that the princess cannot. R2-D2 hysterical beeps as Anakin's racer passes. The slave boys and girls dance like they are at a party. Qui-Gon exchanges a warm smile with Shmi, nodding his approval of the boys' performance. Anakin Skywalker is special indeed. Padme is surprised that even Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan look excited. Any irritation Padme has ever felt for the Jedi left in a rush.
So the Jedi do have emotions, after all.
Something you can't see or touch has just helped you reach a goal. Do you believe in the unseen now?
Irritation comes back. Padme touches the control pad to lower the viewing platform to the ground. Obi-Wan grins.
You can never get the last word with Master Qui-Gon.
The two-headed announcer calls the finish.
Skywalker Anakin. The crowds are going nuts. Oa.
Anakin brings the pod to a skidding halt in the center of the raceway, and shuts down the Redonulzers. Anakin is dirty and ragged, his hair spiky and his face streaked with sweat and grime. His face is wet with gritty sweat. His jacket is torn in several places, and there is blood on his clothing where he had slashed his arm on a jagged piece of metal during the battle with Sebulba. His ears are filled with the hiss of the cooling turbines and the roar of the cheering crowd. The twin suns glare down out of the cloudless sky, glinting off the Redonulzers. The crowd surges toward Anakin's racer, a significant portion of them are slaves. Owen, Beru, Wald, and the others are reaching for him. He guesses him winning the Bunta Classic has given the Tatooine slaves hope. Maybe not that they could win the race, but that one of his kind has given Jabba a blow. Anakin is so tired that he can't even reach up to undo his straps. As the engines die, he sees his companions running toward him from the platform.
Annie!
Shmi runs ahead, her eyes streaming tears of joy and relief.
Did you see, Mom? I won!
You make me so proud.
My eyes couldn't believe it's possible.
You are free.
As Anakin takes all his strength to unstrap himself to meet her, Padme comes up to him.
We're also free. We owe you everything, Annie.
Just feeling this good alone was worth it.
Anakin has just enough time to hug Padme close to him. They owe him everything. At last, they can leave Tatooine. R2-D2 scuttles around them, jolting his droid body around in happiness. He gazes at the brawling, shouting crowd in the galleries. Fights are already erupting over bets lost. Winners crow. Anakin has been a long shot. When more crowd converges moments later, they hoist Anakin into a loft and carry him away, chanting his name and his new title. Watto flies over the crowd toward Anakin in undisguised fury.
You swindled me.
You swindled me! I fixed the engines last night. You broke it!
Watto turns to Kagan, shaking with rage.
You are a Jedi. I saw him using the Force.
Whenever you gamble, eventually you'll lose. Bring the ship parts to the main hangar right away. We will come by your shop later so you can release the boy.
You can't have him. It wasn't a fair bet. I will report you to the UTS.
Obi-Wan looks him up and down with a chilly stare. He pulls his poncho up to show off his lightsaber.
Would you like to discuss it with the Jedi Order? I'm sure they can settle this.
Watto jerks as if stung, terrified.
No. I want no more of your Jedi tricks. Take him. Be gone.
Watto wheels away and flies out, body hunched beneath madly beating wings. The cheering, chanting crowd sweeps Anakin up and carries him off on their shoulders. He never knew winning feels this good. He has done it. He's won. From the sky, the Sith probe droid watches this scene with great interest. Footnote. The podracing scenes play the generally same as the movie. This entire podracing sequence was one jaw-dropping filmmaking and, 20 years later, it still holds up. The build-up, the sense of speed, clarity, the use of silence in the first half, and various situations Anakin gets challenged make up for a nail-biting action set piece. However, Redone makes some changes. The geography of several scenes makes no sense in the film and Redone rearranges them for consistency. I had to look up the map of the track and compare the movie shots to accurately depict the race's progression. The order of Anakin's pod malfunctioning scenes is reversed. Now, the engine catches on fire in the second lap while the cable gets unhooked in the third lap. I found the pod cockpit spinning out of control to be a much more intense set piece and it makes more sense for it to be happening at the last. The biggest problem with the race however is the lack of the character-related stakes. In A New Hope, in order to blow up the Death Star, Luke has to overcome his internal struggle and open himself to the Force.
Use the Force, Luke. Let go, Luke. Luke, trust me.
His computer's off. Luke, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm all right.
We don't get anything like that the pod race, which is all an external struggle. Redone sets Anakin to fight himself before the race, with Kagan explaining to him about the Force and how to use it. When one of the main straps on Anakin's engines that link to pod gets unhooked, instead of Anakin using the wrench to grab the strap, he uses the Force to catch it. This reinforces Anakin's Force power, a homage to Luke's use of the Force in the trench run from A New Hope. It was a missed opportunity that there was no moment in which Obi-Wan believes in Anakin in this movie, so Redone has Obi-Wan also watch the race. This is the moment Obi-Wan gets convinced that Anakin has potential. By Anakin entering the race not yet ready, and then having to sort his flaw out during the race, the stakes are clearer, building up to an emotional catharsis. In Redone, Sebulba uses illegal equipment against Anakin, and this becomes his demise. It makes the race more thrilling by stacking the odds Anakin has to overcome. This moment is a payoff to Anakin surveying Sebulba's pod and adding protective materials to the engines on the night before the race. Redone also cuts down the appearance of Jabba the Hutt as it ruins his reveal in Return of the Jedi. Jabba appears in the game, but in a way that doesn't reveal what he looks like. Within an hour, the arena outside is soon to begin a ceremony for the winners. The crowd still remains. A few pit droids are still salvaging pieces of wreckage from the race, coming and going in steady pursuit of their work. The racers have been stored or hauled away for repairs. In the main hangar, Padme helps load the Nubian ship parts on anti-grav repulsor sled harnessed to Eopes, guided by pit droids, to transport them to the crash site. Watto had made a delivery as promised. The pit droids play around the newly delivered parts.
Hey, be careful.
Obi-Wan checks the container straps and loads the parts on the Eopes harness with R2-D2. There is nothing to keep them here. The announcer's voices outside echo, but Anakin remains in the hangar, standing, looking over his damaged pod. His hair is still matted and his face is streaked with dirt. Shmi joins and moves to give Anakin hugs and kisses again, checking him over carefully, touching his cheeks and forehead.
Annie, what you've done here. Do you know? You have brought hope to those who had none. When they were looking for a hero, you showed up.
Enough of this.
Kagan notices Anakin mumbling in embarrassment.
You seem a bit worse for wear.
No, I'm okay. It's just that I can't believe what's been happening since yesterday. Everything's changing so fast.
You can't stop change any more than you can stop the suns from rising.
She places her hand on Anakin's shoulder.
In this life, you're often born one thing and die another. You don't have to accept that what you're given when you come in is all you'll have when you leave.
Anakin looks over to the Jedi.
Will you take us with you? Am I to become a Jedi?
Obi-Wan walks over to Anakin.
You have every right to become one, Anakin, but you may not be accepted by the Council.
He isn't exactly sure how the Council works, but he has a feeling it must have been made up of other Jedi Knights.
To be a Jedi is not an easy challenge. The training is a task only a few endure, and if you succeed, it's only a prelude to a hard life.
Anakin's eyes are bright and expectant. Kagan could have told him he'd have to shovel bantha poo for the rest of his days. It wouldn't have mattered if it meant being a Jedi. He catches his breath as a dazzling new possibility occurs to him.
It's what I want. What I've always dreamed about.
Obi-Wan gives a slight nod of understanding.
Annie.
Owen, Wald, Barrow, Melee, and Seek are waving, gesturing for him to come out of the hangar. Anakin flashes Shmi a joyous grin.
Can I go back to the crowd?
Sure. Enjoy the applause, Skywalker.
Anakin gives a little half-nod and dashes off to the arena. Obi-Wan steps closer to Kagan and coughs. He hesitates. He has many things he wants to say, that he had come to know Anakin better, that he had begun to see the boy's potential, that he had been wanting to ditch Kagan. His rugged features soften for a minute. His eyes twinkle.
You were right about Anakin, Master, and I am embarrassed. It was not my place to decide the boy's fate. I do not wish to be a difficult apprentice.
Kagan, surprised, looks at him for a long moment. A faint smile appears.
Nor have you been. You have been honest with me. Honesty is never wrong. I foresee you will become a great Jedi Knight with Anakin.
Thank you.
Kagan does not see the same things Obi-Wan sees: useless burdens, pointless projects, unnecessary distractions. He now senses it as he does. He is special, Kagan has told Obi-Wan, and he has agreed. He knows it, too. Anakin is different. He is willful, even reckless in his choices. He is strong, but he dissipates his strength on causes that do not merit his attention. He would learn who this boy is meant to be, and now, Obi-Wan is in the same boat.
Go to the ship first with Padme and take a rest. I will handle the dealings with the Toydarian.
Yes, Master.
Obi-Wan ties the last knot on the Eopie. Though the race is over, he still feels uneasy. Just before he heads off, Obi-Wan glances at Shmi, who is staring off at his son as the massive cheering of the crowd reaches the hangar.
By the way, you should tell her about the Jedi Code regarding parents. As you said, honesty is the best policy to avoid further complications.
Kagan realizes the implication of his words. There is no use in hiding the truth from her. Unsettled, he approaches Shmi.
Madam.
Shmi watches Anakin getting all the cheers in the world.
We can spare a few minutes to get what he deserves. He's about to be a free man, saved from this cruel life we lived. Make him a Jedi like yourself.
Kagan takes a deep breath. He is having difficulty informing her.
Your wish is mine as well, but should he become a Jedi, you're not allowed to come with him.
Shmi turns, surprised. Qui-Gon's words crack the mother's heart.
What do you mean by that?
Your son will be a free man, free at last to dream, but not after he takes his oath. The Jedi Order forbids its members from keeping in contact with their families. That will include Anakin.
The Jedi are bound by duty, orders, and the code, not personal attachment. They sacrifice self by removing family and fostering a loyalty to their hierarchy and traditions.
The choice therefore lies not with me, but you and your son. Would you give him permission to follow his path?
Today has proven her son's greatest worth and shown the greatest strength to everyone, but in showing it, she has to lose her son. Should she be happy? Will Anakin ever be happy? Footnote. Obi-Wan's character arc of not trusting Anakin, but ends up accepting him still carries over from the film to Redone. The problem with Obi-Wan's character arc in the movie is there is no turning point for Obi-Wan to change his mind about Anakin. He completely changes his thoughts from here, the moment Obi-Wan argues against Kagan.
It's not disrespect, Master, it's the truth. From your point of view, the boy is dangerous. They all sense it, why can't you?
His fate is uncertain. He's not dangerous. The Council will decide Anakin's future. That should be enough for you. Now get on board.
To here, the moment Obi-Wan apologizes, and these scenes are only separated 3 minutes from each other.
I'm sorry for my behavior, Master. It's not my place to disagree with you about the boy.
There is no catalyst for the change of his mind, so there is no payoff for his character transformation. Redone fixes this by giving the clear catalyst, which is the podracing sequence in which Obi-Wan witnesses Anakin's capability, thus believing Kagan at last. It's an actual character arc now. Watto puts a small remote device on Shmi's collar. Looking at the process from the counter, Anakin seems terrified.
Are you sure it won't blow up?
Oh, it won't.
A loud beep sounds, startling Anakin for a moment. Shmi's collar comes off, deactivated. The slave transmitter neutralization didn't take long. Watto then begins working on Anakin's collar and turns to Kagan, standing beside the boy.
You're just as much of a gambler, Jedi. Today, luck was on your side.
If you want to call it that. Luck is just a word for a force you can't explain.
Watto snorts. A beep, and Anakin's collar comes off. Watto's mouth works as if chewing something, his snout wrinkling over his protruding teeth.
Bombs are off. Now scram.
But it leaves Anakin feeling odd, as if he has become an entirely new and different person. It seemed impossible that Watto would give him up. He never thought not being a slave would feel so strange. With a renewed sense of liberation, Anakin looks at Watto with a vicious stare. He can't stand him. He can't stand being in this shop for one more second. He's already wasted too much of his life here. Watto is taken aback. His chest and throat tighten. There is hushed silence. R2-D2 next to him beeps. Every minute they stay in one location, they place themselves in danger. Anakin takes a deep breath to steady himself. He feels like he is on remote, as if he is not in complete control of his own legs as they carry him into the harsh sunlight from the doorway. It is hard to think clearly. Everything that had happened since the Jedi arrived on Tatooine seemed more like a dream than a reality.
Let's go, R2.
He walks out of the shop with Kagan and Shmi, and the droid follows. Watto's eyes go wide, and his mouth opens.
That droid is mine.
I made it, so it belongs to me.
There is not even a feeling of homesickness growing inside Anakin. Watto screams at him.
You tieves. You great gobs of Banta Pudu. Maklunki. My business is doomed. Cuba, Kayaba de Anko. Chiskargu.
Anakin quits listening and strides away with R2-D2. The probe droid trails Anakin, Kagan, and R2-D2 moving down the hot, sun-blasted route to Watto's shop from the sky. This is a favorite time of day for Anakin. For the rest of the day, he is basked in the glory of winning the race. Everywhere he goes, people wave and smile. He feels funny. He'd never been a hero before. They want to play and talk, but he is distracted. He needs to depart, fast. R2-D2 beeps.
Now you can make your dreams come true. How do you feel?
I dreamed about leading a slave rebellion. I dreamed of holding a laser sword, and of driving every last Hutt, criminal, and bounty hunter off Tatooine. But never in my life had I thought I would leave here.
You're a free person, Anakin, and you'll need a surname when you join the Jedi Order.
We haven't thought about it before because we never needed one.
I'd hate to see you naming me Anakin Watto.
There is no way he would name himself after his owner.
Do you have one in mind?
Anakin Jin?
After all, Kagan is going to be his new family. The crowd snags Anakin's gaze, and he turns his head. All the slaves in the neighborhood gather to congratulate him. The fellow slaves like Owen, Wald, and Beru trail him back from the racing arena.
Where are you going, Annie?
Baru notices Anakin's bare neck.
Where's your collar?
Anakin takes a deep breath.
I've been freed. I'm going away with the Jedi. On a spaceship.
The slaves' eyes go wide, and their mouths open in a silent exclamation. Anakin fishes in his pocket and comes out with a handful of credits, which he shoves at each of them.
Here. These are for you. Don't steal the drinks and ruby bleals.
There are tears in their eyes as they accept the money. Wald looks down at the credits, then back up at Anakin.
Do Yuba do ball? B-A-L Yuba do.
Annie, you're a hero.
Can't you stay?
He swallows hard and glances at Kagan, walking beside him. His path is settled.
I can't. This is my path. Thanks for everything.
They come rushing to Anakin and hug him.
We won't forget.
You're our Skywalker.
With that, the crowd begins chanting. The word echoes in his head. Anakin glances at Shmi with a smile.
Anakin Skywalker.
As emotions tear at Anakin, braver now, more determined, he holds up his deactivated bomb collar, showing it to the roaring crowd of slaves. Kagan smiles back. With slave boy Anakin winning a pod race, he wonders if the word Skywalker would come to mean more than a pod racing champion. It could become a symbol, an ideal, or a mantle among the slaves on Tatooine. He is a special child, something beyond the norm, even for a Jedi, she believes. Anakin has always stood taller than anyone else. As Shmi stares at his son becoming the hero, she realizes that he is much greater than her son. Shmi tells Kagan.
You're right. I have to let him go. I cannot keep him with me even if we're not slaves.
If that means living the life on Tatooine.
I know.
Annie has so much to give to the galaxy. His gifts cannot be contained by Tatooine. He belongs out there, flying across the stars, saving planets. He was born to be a Jedi, born to give so much more to so many more.
If I were Anakin, I would be grateful to you.
Footnote. One of the problems created from the "I am your father" twist is that the Lars family kept Luke's surname Skywalker, even though they wanted to hide him from Vader. This is worsened in the prequels, where it is revealed the Lars family didn't even move. They are living in the same homestead Vader has visited, on Vader's home planet. Vader knows for a fact that the Lars family is his relatives. And Lars didn't even rename Luke or took him as their son, like the Organa family did with Leia. They didn't even attempt to conceal Luke's identity. Although Redone can't really get around this plot hole, it does remedy it. In Redone, slave Anakin earning the title of Skywalker, Podracing champion, kind of vindicates why Owen kept Luke's surname on Tatooine. Skywalker became a favorite surname for freed slaves to adopt for a symbolic reason. Skywalker became a lofty name and a representative word for fighting the oppression of slavery, thus it became a common surname. Morning lays over the planet of Alderaan. Camp 5, the prison camp established by the Separatists on the square, holds dozens of the officials in the Queen's service. The insignia on their uniforms indicate a mix of guards, soldiers, and mechanics. A vast array of battle droids armed with blasters keep the Alderaanian prisoners in the camp. There is not anything the captives can do except find spots to sleep and get what rest they can, knowing that the next day will be just as hard as the one before.
Your Majesty.
Queen Breha Antilles, in the handmaiden's clothing, is thrown into the camp. Through the roaring in her ears, she hears cries of terror and worry. She chokes and blinks to clear the dark afterimage from her eyes, the droid Ekis wheeling in, followed by the B-1 battle droids moving through the door. Their footsteps click like the exoskeletons of insects. They surround the queen and the prisoners, weapons pointed. Disoriented, Breha Antilles stumbles as she tries to rise, raising her hands. They're herding Alderaanian people into camps, and she can't stop them. The Neimoidians step in, marching past the battle droids, followed by droid commander OOM-9. The smug Neimoidians examine the queen with barely concealed satisfaction.
She isn't as heartless as I presume.
The queen has just been captured. Now, Alderaan is in the hands of its proper authorities.
The Neimoidians smile, satisfied smiles that remind her of a cat's after it's caught the mouse.
I brought you here for a purpose, Queen Antilles. I am giving you an opportunity to publicly denounce the Republic and their efforts to seize our succession.
We welcome your entry to the Separatist Alliance.
We do not recognize your authority.
And we don't recognize the Republic.
Recognize the Republic or not, you will have to explain this invasion to the Senate.
We won't. We will demand. The Separatists will declare independence right here, and hundreds of secessionist star systems will follow.
And the Separatist Alliance is pleased you have chosen to come before us, Your Majesty.
So that is their game. Breha had expected what was to come. She could guess everything that a separatist would say. Newt Gunray is not clever. He goes by the book. Eventually, he would resort to threats.
You will not be so pleased when you hear what I have to say. We will not betray the Republic.
Then you will betray your people. Without your cooperation, I can do nothing to stop the occupation.
To his surprise, she does not budge from her position.
And in that statement lies the truth of your proposed improvement.
Newt takes a beat to study her. Newt Gunray tells her in a patronizing tone.
Now, Your Majesty, you are not going to like what we have in store for your people. In time, their suffering will persuade you to see our perspective.
She shoots an angry look at Newt. He stares back, impassive. Rune Heiko roars, swinging around to OOM-9.
Commander, close the gate.
Roger, roger.
At his command, the battle droids push her into the camp and push the door to close it. Breha falls to the floor. She gets up, helped by the prisoners. The pain in her leg is excruciating. She forces herself to relax. Using the macro binoculars, this is viewed by Captain Panika, his guards, and handmaidens from the ledge of a distant cliff, outside the city. Panika can hardly draw his breath. Wide-eyed with disbelief, the icy fear is closing around his heart. He is thinking about ways to help, to stop the mission from failing, but he can't do anything. Handmaiden Dorm is lying next to him, explaining Her Majesty's choice to return to Aldera.
She knew if the Separatists' demands were not met within days, they would have plummeted the city into ashes. She knew there was nothing she could do to stop it but give up.
If the Queen committed Alderaan to the Separatists, Alderaan would be bound by her decision. We have failed.
Alderaan is not yet lost. She didn't surrender herself without hope.
Panika seems too stunned to respond.
What was she thinking?
She is stalling them for Padme to make a move, to let the Senate know what is happening on Alderaan.
While Alderaan remains in chains, the Queen's Regent and the Senator will ask for help from the Republic, but that only can work if Queen Antilles does not succumb to their torture and give up Alderaan.
Then the responsibility to carry on the fight rests with her.
The probe droid hovers above the sand-packed street as it follows Kagan entering Anakin's hovel. As Kagan enters the boy's home, he reaches beneath his poncho and produces a leather pouch. Anakin and Shmi appear to greet him.
I sold the pod to a particularly surly and rather insistent racer.
Anakin's eyes lift to meet his.
Sebulba, was it?
Kagan grins broadly.
Here's yours.
Shmi accepts the bag. Her eyes go wide when she opens it.
Annie, look at all the money we have.
Anakin looks into the pouch to find that the money is Whoopi Yuppie, Huttese currency, not credits.
Why did you sell it in Pegasus? We aren't staying on Tatooine anymore, right?
There is a hushed silence. Kagan and Shmi share a knowing look, and Anakin knows this isn't only good news after all.
These are for your mother.
A chill sweeps through Anakin.
She's free too. You're coming, aren't you, Mom?
We help people to be free, but we ourselves are not free. To be a Jedi, one must erase distractions and attachments, including those to family. If you go, you will never be allowed to see her again.
Shmi comes to her son and sits down in a chair next to him, taking both of his hands in hers and drawing him close. Her eyes are steady as she looks into his.
My place is here. My future is here. It is time for you to let go of me. I cannot go with you.
I'm staying then.
Anakin.
I'm not going without her.
Leave Mom on Tatooine. He can't do it, even if it means not becoming a Jedi. He refuses to go without her.
Listen. Listen to your feelings. You know what's right.
My feelings want me to stay on Tatooine.
We both know that isn't true. You want to be a Jedi more than anything in the world.
She is right. Anakin tries to pretend, but in his heart, there is a voice whispering to him, telling him that this is a privilege he should embrace. Anakin is in great anguish. He struggles with the dilemma, a battle raging in his mind. He is not certain that he can reconcile two desires. Anakin looks at Kagan, pleading with him to give the answer.
I cannot give or take. This path has been placed before you, Anakin. The choice to take it is yours alone.
Standing at a crossroad between family and ambition, Anakin Skywalker takes a long, slow breath and drops his gaze, his head lowering. Everything is coming apart inside, all the happiness melting away, all the expectancy fading. He wishes he could be two instead of one, a boy who stays with his mother, and a boy who grows up to be a Jedi Knight. But then he feels his mother's hands tighten over his own, and in her touch he finds the strength he needs to do what he knew he must. He cannot become a man by staying here. Therefore, he will be the boy who leaves.
I made my choice.
The one he will regret for the rest of his life. His eyes are teary as he lifts his gaze once more.
I'm going to miss you so much, Mom.
Know this. No matter where you are, how far you are, my love will always be with you.
She releases his hands.
Now, pack your things.
Anakin races from the room, tears streaking his face. He dreamed about becoming a Jedi, but he had never considered the possibility that he would have to leave his mother behind. Shmi looks up at Kagan.
Thank you.
I will watch after him. You have my word.
The Jedi's deep voice is warm and reassuring. He puts his hand on her shoulder.
Will you be all right?
He was in my life for such a short time.
She trails off, distracted. It doesn't take Anakin long to pack, he hasn't owned much, anyway. Anakin throws the last of his things into a small backpack in preparation to leave the planet. After all the excitement, cleaning up has a pleasantly familiar feel to Anakin. His life on Tatooine would soon be gone, and the mother, he tries not to think about the mother. He grabs the Jedi doll and is about to throw it into the bag, then stops. He touches for a moment, reminiscing, deep in his thoughts. Now he has the chance he has always wanted for himself. He closes his eyes and leaves the doll there. Before he leaves the shed, he looks back at the room. Anakin stands at the entrance for a moment, caught in a mix of emotions. He has nothing to say to the hovel. Trying to forget everything about Tatooine. It is time to let go. He heads out of his room. The twin suns are above him when Anakin comes out of his hovel and walks in silence, his eyes taking in familiar sights he would not see again, remembering his life here, saying goodbye. A little way down the street, Kagan and R2 are waiting for him. Before Anakin reaches him, he glances back one more time at his mother, standing in the doorway. Anakin stands there, undecided. He races back to her, and by the time he gives her a hard hug, he is crying.
I can't do it, Mom. I just can't.
Annie.
Will I see you again?
What does your heart tell you?
It is strange, but he has a feeling that he might come back. He would become a Jedi, then someday return to Tatooine.
I don't know. Yes, I guess.
Then it will happen.
That gives him the strength to go forward.
I will come back for you, Mom.
Shmi wipes the dampness of his tears from his cheek.
Now, be brave, and don't look back. Don't look back.
She turns him around, so he is facing away from her. She gives him a small push, and he begins marching. Braver now, more determined, shouldering his pack, he keeps his eyes fixed on a point well past the streets, beyond the binary suns. As she told, Anakin never looks back. Anakin and his droid follow Kagan through the hot, sun-blasted streets of Mos Espa. He is getting homesickness growing inside him. He can't believe it, but he knows he would miss this place. Then Anakin has a strange feeling. Like he's being followed. POV shot, of the probe droid, as Anakin turns. He is staring at Frame straight on. Then the glowing blade of Qui-Gon's lightsaber hums and slices through Frame. A loud crack, and Frame tears and splits. Maul has been monitoring and controlling the probe droid's movement via a portable view screen. That view screen goes dark. An excellent sign. Maul grins. It's the Jedi, all right. Once again amazed by the Jedi's speed, Anakin gasps as the lightsaber sweeps through a spherical black repulsor lift device that had been hovering in the air at their backs. The thing he'd cut out of the air was about the size of a loaf of bread. Now sliced in two, its parts lay sparking and fizzing on the ground. Bending, Qui-Gon examines the droid. He replies in a grim tone.
Probe droid.
Anakin kneels to inspect a cluster of metal parts still sparking and fizzing in the sand. The acrid smell of ozone and burning insulation hangs in the dry air.
Very unusual. It's not like anything I've seen before.
Qui-Gon scans the street, eyes sharp and bright as he casts up and down. He then clicks off the lightsaber and looks at Anakin.
We haven't much time.
He starts running. Anakin rises and follows Qui-Gon fast. Maul focuses his mind. The Jedi are out there. He will meet them soon. He cannot bring the moment closer by wishing for it. They are his enemy, and he will beat them because he is better, stronger, and smarter. He has weapons they don't have. He has his anger. And his most important weapon, he has no mercy. Signaling another probe droid above him to use maximum speed, Darth Maul climbs on his side-shaped speeder bike and kicks an accelerator. The probe droid follows Maul over the desert floor, scanning his surroundings. The heat slams down on him, and he is glad. It will slow the Jedi. He bends over, eyes focused on the landscape ahead, searching for the movement that will show him his enemy. All he sees is sand, dirt and dunes, yellow ground, orange sky. Once out in the desert, in the open, Qui-Gon, Anakin, and R2-D2 pick up the pace. They run across the hot sands on the outskirts of Mos Espa as fast as they can. The heat makes it hard for Anakin to keep up, but he does the best he can. All the while, still harboring a vague sense of unease, Anakin and Qui-Gon's eyes and minds are searching, the former the landscape of Tatooine, the latter the landscape of the Force. Qui-Gon's instincts have alerted him to the probe droid tracking them, and his Jedi training in the ways of the Force warns him now of something far more dangerous. He can feel a shifting in the balance of things that suggests an intrusion on the harmony that the Force requires, a dark weight descending like a massive stone. Anakin is only a little way behind when the Alderaanian spacecraft comes into sight, a haven of safety, standing on its landing struts. It sits 300 meters away, metal skin gleaming dully in the sunlight. She is a beauty, Anakin thinks. Sleek with swept-back wings, she is as fine as any spacecraft he'd ever seen. It looks peaceful and normal. The little pit droids are still fixing on the Alderaanian spacecraft, but Qui-Gon doesn't slow down.
Qui-Gon! Sir, wait!
Anakin calls out to him. Qui-Gon glances over his shoulder to give him response and offer encouragement. Instead, he catches sight of the speeder and its dark-cloaked rider bearing down on Anakin.
Anakin, drop to the ground!
Without hesitation, Anakin throws himself face down on the hot sand. He does what he was told, and not a second too soon. The others would have hesitated or turned, but his instincts are sharp. He hears a high whine and feels a rush of wind on his back. If he'd been standing, he would have been skewered. When he raises his head a moment later, he is just in time to see a man in a black, hooded cloak on a speeder bike. Qui-Gon pulls his lightsaber out, the green blade comes, the weapon held before him in two hands. The speeder comes at him, a saddle-shaped vehicle. The primal scream has barely sounded before he is on top of Nelith, wheeling the speeder aside deftly at the last moment, closing off its thruster, and leaping from the seat, igniting the crimson lightsaber in midair, all in one swift movement. He carries a lightsaber of another make, and the weapon is cutting at the Jedi Master even before the attacker's feet have touched the ground. Qui-Gon, surprised by Maul's quickness and ferocity, barely blocks the blow with his own weapon, the blade sliding apart with a harsh rasp. The attacker spins away in a whirl of dark clothing, then attacks anew, lightsaber slashing at his intended prey. Anakin climbs to his feet, watching in confusion as the two men slash at each other. Qui-Gon is battling a dark-caped figure with a horned head. Bold markings of red and black covered a demonic face in strange, jagged patterns beneath the crown of stunted horns encircling its head. Man-shaped and humanoid, his slitted eyes and hooked teeth are nevertheless feral and predatory, and his howl is a hunter's challenge to his prey. Anakin watches the acrobatic way he moves, the economy and power of his gestures. Anakin knows there is no way he can help. Fighting to hold his ground, Kagan catches sight of him out of the corner of his eye.
Go! Tell them to take off!
In a rush of emotion dominated by fear and doubt, Anakin and R2-D2 race past the shouting pit droids for the Nubian spacecraft, hoping he would reach it in time. Kagan blocks him again and again, but cannot not find an opening that would provide any chance of escape. Maul uses the shifting sand as resistance, but the sand doesn't seem to hamper Kagan. Sweat streaking his body, Anakin keeps running. And as tired as he is from the long run from Mos Espa, he never runs faster than he does when he bolts for the starship. He practically flies up the landing ramp and into the ship's forward hold. As Bail Organa, Padme, and Rick Oli check out the craft's control panel, wondering how long it takes to free the slaves, Obi-Wan bursts into the cockpit.
Qui-Gon's in trouble.
Bail Organa stares at an unfamiliar brown-haired boy and an astro droid behind the Padawan. The boy gasps for breath and collapses to the floor.
Who are you?
Padme is already moving, pulling Anakin toward the front of the spacecraft.
He's a friend.
He said to take off. Now!
Fly low, and keep the ramp open.
But the repair...
Anakin pushes the lever and ignites the engine. The big repulsor lifts kick in with a low growl. The pilot puts his hands on the controls.
Those clankers had better have those parts repaired by now, or there'll be held to pay.
The sleek transport rises and wheels smoothly about. The ship is airborne in moments, without even waiting to close the entry ramp. Rick Oli circles above the desert.
I don't see anything.
Peering anxiously through the cockpit windows, Anakin spots a small cloud of dust in the distance. Anakin points at the corner of the viewport, and they all catch the sight of Kagan engaging in battle with the dark-garbed, demonic attacker outside.
Over there!
What in the...
As terrifying as it is, it also gives Anakin a moment to wonder. He'd heard from the spacers who passed through Mos Espa that Jedi are the most powerful fighters in the galaxy. But that thing in the dark cloak seems at least as strong as Kagan. Could it possibly be the Sith? Regardless, Anakin is glad that Kagan is on his side.
Do you have a holorecorder on this ship?
Yes, but we haven't finished installing the databank.
For the droids manufactured for repairing things, they often come across as the laziest droids ever created. Without the data storage, there is no way to keep the holographic footage.
R2! He has a data tape to store the recording!
R2-D2 beeps and inserts its data probe into the cockpit console. The pilot then makes some inputs.
Turning it on.
The ship schemes across the surface of the desert, barely a meter above the tops of the dunes. A holocom system attached to the Nubian ship's bottom focuses its lens. Moving through the air toward Qui-Gon's position, the camera captures the combatants surge back and forth across the flats, lightsabers flashing brightly with each blow struck, sand and grit swirling in all directions. Rick takes the spacecraft toward them quickly, skimming the ground barely higher than a speeder bike, coming in from behind the attacker, its ramp still lowered, hoping that Kagan would see the open entry ramp as the ship passes. He will see it. He has to see it, Obi-Wan worries. In a fight as fierce as that one, even a small distraction could be fatal. Obi-Wan rushes out of the cockpit to the forward hold. As the ship passes over the battle, Kagan feels a surge in the force. He realizes the ship flying over them a few feet off the ground. He leaps onto the lowered rampway of the transport, gaining purchase, one hand grasping a strut for support. But the horned attacker is already in pursuit, racing out of the haze and leaping onto the still extended ramp as the ship rises. Balanced precariously against the sway of the ship, eyes flaring in rage, he fights to keep his footing. When Maul is about to strike Kagan from his back, Obi-Wan rushes to the ramp from the hatchway. He levels his lightsaber and swings a powerful, two-handed blow at Maul. Maul blocks it, but only barely, but in the process loses his balance. Obi-Wan's blow sweeps him away, clear of the ramp and off into space. Maul drops back toward the desert floor, lands in a crouch, and rises instantly to his feet. Obi-Wan grabs the ship's floor above with one hand and Kagan with the other. He shouts at the cockpit, "Go!" On the sand, Maul stands watching in frustration as the Nubian ship closes and the spacecraft rockets away. Soon it will be just a speck in the distance. Maul tastes sand in his mouth. The Jedi are gone. Maul races to the fallen speeder biker and climbs into it. Stomping on the accelerator, he heads back to his ship. The wind rises. It drives the sand against him furiously, sharp pricks against his face and exposed skin. The dust chokes his throat, but he doesn't notice it. The Nubian spacecraft accelerates from the planet of Tatooine. Anakin, Padme, and Senator Organa rush down into the main hold to find Obi-Wan looking over Kagan lying on the cool metal floor of the entry. His clothing dusty and damp with his sweat, his body bruised and battered. He breathes deeply, waiting for his pounding heart to quiet. R2-D2 looks over him and beeps, reassuring him that all is well.
Are you all right?
Obi-Wan has never seen him in such bad shape after a fight. If they hadn't gotten to him when they did.
Is it well with you?
I think so.
Kagan pants. He sets up, and slowly begins to breathe more normally.
That was a surprise I won't forget.
Anakin notices something off-screen. He moves toward it while the others talk with an exhausted Kagan.
What was it?
A male Zabrak, I believe. He was well trained in the Jedi arts. I sensed an oppressive aura of the dark side I have not felt before.
I sensed the disturbance too.
His young face mirrors Qui-Gon's concern. Meanwhile, Anakin is looking out the viewport. R2-D2 beeps at Anakin.
Annie?
She comes over to him. Anakin catches his breath and watches the sky change. Below them, Mos Espa is no larger than a sandbox and gets smaller all the time. Then the sky turns from blue to black and he is staring down at a bare, sand-colored planet. Beyond it glows the familiar twin suns. Everywhere else, the first stars are coming out, then the sky is awash with sparkling stars, small pinpricks against the deepening black of the night sky. Worlds he has never seen and can only dream about waited out there, and one day he would visit them. For the first time in his life, he is in space. He wants to be the first one to see all the stars. To get away from Tatooine, to go to places where no one knows that he had ever been a slave, to see all the places the Jedi must have seen, and more.
Looks so small from here, right?
Without Kagan, Anakin would have been a fish in a bowl for the rest of his life. He then looks up at the blanket of stars in the dark.
There are so many stars. Do they all have a system of planets?
Most of them.
I wonder if anyone has been to them all.
Kagan laughs.
Not likely.
Padme nudges him.
Well, you're not too late to be the first one then.
The happiness he feels at finding the thing he wanted most in all the world within reach, to be a Jedi, to journey down the space lanes of the galaxy, but at their forefront is his memories of Shmi, which threaten to sweep him away. He feels a lump in his throat inside him and lowers his gaze. He puts his hand on the transparent steel, as if to reach out to his mother. Feeling his sadness, Kagan puts his hand on his forearm.
Trust me, Anakin. You did the right thing in going, for yourself, but more importantly, for your mother. Your leaving was what your mother wanted for you.
But was that what she needed?
You gave her hope. That's what a parent needs for her child, to know that you had been given a chance at a better life.
He forces himself to believe Qui-Gon's words. It's the only way he can cope. Anakin can stay at that window staring at Tatooine and thinking about her for a long time, but his view catches something strange.
What's that?
Padme also notices a dot in the yellow background of the planet. Warm expressions quickly disappear from her face.
Master Jedi?
The Jedi and Bail Organa come over to them and stare out the window. The dot expands, revealing to be the Sith starfighter, Scimitar, the same one that shot down the ship, and it is chasing again. The Sith are never restless. Their discipline is no less absolute in delay than in action. Kagan directs Anakin with a meaningful look.
Stay here.
The two Jedi and Bail Organa rush down the hallway into the cockpit.
Pilot.
I know.
His face flushed and anxious.
Calculating the coordinates. We'll make a jump in 2 minutes.
Not this again.
Kagan stands next to them, feeling the weight of his gaze steady and unwavering. Maul smiles and locks onto the Nubian ship. His Sith training was extensive. His master was concerned not only with his physical and intellectual perfection, but also his piloting skills. Many times his knowledge of starship and various communication devices and weapons has come in handy. This is such a time. Anakin, Padme, and R2-D2 look out the window. The thought of meeting up with the Dark Warrior again makes Anakin shiver. Anakin finds a macro binoculars on the side and surveys the chasing ship in the distance. Anakin makes an important discovery.
Do you have a comm link?
Here.
She gives him the device. Anakin screams into the comlink.
That ship uses pulsar tracking for its weapons. Spin the ship! It will make it difficult for him to get a reading on us.
Rick Oli responds to the comm.
Just spin?
Just spin!
Rick Oli seems doubtful.
Okay. I'll try.
The pilot flips a series of levers and puts the Nubian into a slow spin. The scimitar's lock loses focus. Frustrated, Maul fires the lasers anyway, hoping to stick. The royal transport accelerates and spins, whipping past lasers. He slams his joystick with a fist.
It's working!
Keep doing that! Don't stop!
Maul switches to the manual aiming and pours lasers at the target. Although the majority of laser fire misses the target, a laser bolt hammers into the ship, causing sparks and smoke to explode from one panel, sending the ship reeling. The ship rocks. Something must have made it through the shields, Anakin thinks as he straightens.
He's hitting us!
He switched to manual aiming!
Explosions sound close by. An alarm sounds, shrill and angry. The transport shudders, its power drive stalling momentarily in a high-pitched whine. For a brief moment they are tumbling out of control. Then Rick Oli pulls back hard on the controls.
Something's wrong!
He announces quietly, fighting the steering, feeling the ship shudder beneath.
Shield generator's been hit!
They continue to spin, so close that Maul's cannons have only the smaller chance at hitting the target. But without shields even a glancing hit can be disastrous.
Without the shields, we are dead.
Any idea now?
Anakin glances around to be helpful and finds an airlock at one end of the compartment in the main hold, lit with the emergency red light. Anakin then turns to R2-D2.
R2!
The droid beeps in fear of going outside.
You're the only one who can make repairs! Go! Go!
R2-D2 rotates his head left and right, refusing. Padme begins pushing the droid toward the airlock.
Fix it, or you'll find yourself floating home.
Despite R2-D2 locking his brakes in his wheels, he slides to the airlock under Padme's push. Eventually, the droid complies. The droid enters the airlock lift and gets sucked up toward the top of the ship. An airlock snaps open, and R2-D2 pops out of the airlock and onto the transport's hull. R2-D2 motors swiftly across the hull, seeking out the damage as Rick Oli tries his best to spin the ship. Rick Oli struggles to gain speed. He has a spinning, dodging, whirling ride through heavy fire. Bail has already accepted his fate.
We're done. Done.
Look! On the view screen, a small, blue-domed R2 unit can be seen working furiously to connect a series of wires exposed by a damaged hull plate. Laser fire lands all around it. More lasers fly past the ship. R2-D2 is still busy amid the onslaught of the scimitar. The ship rocks as yet another bolt from the scimitar explodes against the hull. The Jedi frown and check the readout.
If he can't get the main power fixed, we'll be sitting ducks.
Kagan frowns and checks the readout. Anakin looks out the window.
Come on, R2!
R2-D2 continues its effort without stopping. He works steadily, reconnecting wires despite renewed shots from the fighter. Laser blasts was around the little astromech. Several shots miss by barely a hair's breadth. At last, a spray of sparks. For one horrible moment, Obi-Wan and Kagan think they have lost the droid. Then the dazzle clears from the view screen. Something changes on the cockpit display. Simultaneously, Rick Oli gives a shout of approval.
The power's back!
That little droid did it.
Bail Organa claps and cheers. Kagan closes his eyes.
Just in time.
Deflector shields up, at maximum.
Rick jams the thrusters all the way forward. And the transport rockets away from the scimitar, leaving the planet of Tatooine behind. The lone R2-D2 motors back into the airlock and disappears from view. R2-D2 pops down and trips over to the floor with a clank. Anakin and Padme help him stand.
You saved us!
Good boy.
For the next few moments, the firing is intense, but no more shots penetrate the shields.
I'm ready to make the jump.
Punch it.
Rick fits his hands to the controls and engages the hyperdrive. There is a quick, sharp whine, and the stars that fill the viewport turn from silver pinpricks to long streamers. The Nubian ship streaks smoothly into hyperspace, and the scimitar is left in the void. Maul's expressions twist. Hot rage surges through him. Impossible as it may seem, he has made an error. To have come this far, only to be met with another failure. He controls himself. There is no reason to remain on Tatooine. He knows what he must do. He must return to Coruscant and face Lord Sidious. He must send a report that the Jedi have taken off, and he is returning. He knows his master will want to hear the details in person. Maul is prepared to do this, but he does not look forward to it. He had brought him bad news once before. His successes have been spectacular, but on one mission, he has to report failure. Outside the Aldera Palace, the night begins hiding the droids that occupy the city, making everything look almost as usual. Inside the palace, the cool lights of the throne room make the marble floor gleam, except where Newt Gunray and the hologram of Darth Sidious stand. The Sith Lord is still stoop-shouldered, dark-robed shape, cloaked and hooded so that nothing of his face can be seen.
You assured your apprentice would destroy the Jedi.
Lord Sidious doesn't flinch. He speaks in a soft, calm voice.
This turn of events is unfortunate, but not fatal to our plans.
Dealing with Darth Sidious is almost as nerve-wracking as that business with the Jedi had been. Settlement Officer and Lieutenant Rune Hako charges at the hologram.
They have fled to Coruscant. They will expose our invasion to the Senate.
Sidious stiffens in anger.
I will see to it that in the Senate things stay as they are. By the time this incident comes up for a vote.
We left the Republic to not deal with the Senate. This scheme of yours has failed, Lord Sidious. We dare not go up against the Senate event.
All of a sudden, Rune Hako stops talking and struggles to breathe. Sidious' voice turns slow and sibilant.
Are you saying you would rather go up against me? I am amused.
Rune's face undergoes a terrifying transformation.
No, Lord Sidious. Never.
Newt Gunray looks at this sight and shivers.
Lord Sidious, let him be. Your point has well been made.
Rune drops to the floor right before suffocates to death. He averts his eyes from the frightening presence.
Is the Queen still refusing to comply with your demands?
She will not budge. And if the Senate makes a move to free Alderaan, then
we shall make an example out of her. If the Senate fails to block their plea for help, execute her in a public broadcast so that they may witness the consequences of Republic tyranny.
But, my lord, that would be a provocation now.
Before Newt can ask more, the hologram shimmers and disappears, leaving the throne room empty of sound. Newt watches Rune Hako holding his neck and staggering out of the room, coughing. Newt probably should have listened lectures from Dauphine about how dangerous the Sith are, but it is too late now to break with the Sith Lord. Far too late.